Hello everybody and welcome back to another piece of VL content. This is like episode 16 or something. I don't know. We're on big episode hours. We're smashing these things out week to week. We're here today, joined by two members of the same team, Sack Academy. We've got Sushi and Zeus. How's it going, boys?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great, I'm great.
We've got drunk Sushi and fake drunk Zeus because he's smashing peach schnapps like a real baller.
I've drank like half the bottle, man.
Of
Come
peach schnapps, it's 5%.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Right, so I'll
It's
explain the
15%.
rules and then we're going to get into it, okay? So, basically, you see the 5 flame questions in the middle. I'm going to put a question on the screen, multiple choice, you've got 4 answers. I'll read it out. All you have to do is type the answer that you think it is in the chat in Discord, okay?
Cool.
And then, depending on whether you get it right or wrong, you'll get it as we go along. So, are you ready for question 1?
Yeah.
Okie dokie, right. Number 1, what is Set's passive called? Knuckle Grit, Showdown, Pit Grit, or Wild Blows?
I'm fucking dumb as fuck.
Sushi? Take a guess, come on.
No, say.
What do you mean? That's the right answer! Hey, well played! Good shit! Zeus, I expected you to lose that one, to be fair.
Stealtham's gonna hate me because Stealtham's a step.
Wait, did I get it
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's Pit Grit. Well done. Was that a guess or did you know that?
It was a guess, even though I played Set too much to
Zed?
not know that.
We set.
Set. I played Set too much to not know the passive's name.
To be fair, you'd be surprised the amount of people that come on here and I put their mains as a question.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know the they don't know the champion ability names.
Oh
So,
boy.
because you got that one right, you get to make Zeus answer one of those 5 questions in the middle. Any one that you want to, in any order. Have a pick. What are you thinking?
I want to say, I want Zeus to answer number 1.
Number
Who
1.
is the worst player in our division?
Division 3. Teams
Yes.
like
Worst player
TKDS,
in Division.
Tempest, Bob.
I want to say Reduma because last split when Sacramento played Bob, I watched him walk up with no mana against Aurelia, and our jungler was there for a cannon minion that he never got in the first place,
Wait,
and then died.
how is the Duma what comes to mind when you think of the how? What world are you living in? I mean,
know.
he's not great, but fuck me, he's not the worst player in your division. You're in a division with Tempest and PWE, and you're choosing players like Duma, Zeus. Your scale's all kind of fucked.
It's just from that one play, and like it's never gone out of my mind. It always makes me chuckle when I think about it.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll take it if that's what you want to go with, but you've made a big mistake, mate. You can't go after Bob. It doesn't matter whether you're on Name It or Flame It or what. You can't go after You can't go after Bob. They're gonna have you. That's it. You're done. But swiftly moving on, before you try and change your answer. Number 2, how much HP does Alistair start the game with? How much base HP does he have? 550, 575, 600, or 615?
I don't fucking know.
Well then take a guess, what do you mean? Ah well, shit, you both wrong. You both went either side of it, it's 600. Even 600. Nice and easy one that, and somehow you got it wrong. To be fair, how are you supposed to know that? Actually, Sushi I expect better. Zeus I expect.
I don't play Alice, to
Well,
be
you should.
honest.
Maybe
Like,
then
at
you'd be good at
all.
support.
If I've learned anything from the sushi,
Let me play
Like,
Enchantress and Int in peace, okay?
Because you both got it wrong, that means that I get to choose one of the questions that you have to answer, okay? And you both have to answer it. So, I reckon we go with number 4. Who is the worst player on your team? We'll start with Sushi, because you answer the question first.
Oh yeah, Zeus.
I mean, that was easy, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Zeus.
Why? Why Zeus, though? Not just
I
because he's
didn't know.
shit, but...
I don't know, I just, I don't honestly know, I just feel like he performs the worst in our teams, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No further explanation needed. I hard agree. Zeus,
Thanks.
who do you think is the worst player on your team, mate?
okay. If Stealth actually showed up to scrims, I'd say he's the worst player, but I'm gonna go with Sushi. Yeah, I don't know.
Why?
Because she ends. And
I
then
mean, yeah,
tells you
I
where
hard
to
agree. Somehow I've managed to get both of the worst players on your team on
Okay.
here at the same time.
To
But
be fair, one of my like infamous sentences during scrims and VL games is "Let me in peace,"
you know,
when I hear that, I know it's gonna be a back then.
and I say that in like, if not in every game, it's like every second game. You know?
it feels bad, right? But I think I have to agree with Zeus here. Like somehow,
Don't worry.
like Zeus is the worst player, but you're worth 13 points. There's no way you're getting away with your KDs and playing like that on 13 points in
You gotta
different.
remember, I'm worth 4 points.
Exactly. Somehow Sushi is worth over double your
I-
points. Not.
But you know, I'm assuming that you can't answer. Like, I can't just say, "Oh yeah, it's myself," you know.
I mean, yeah, it's more fun when you name other people, but you wouldn't
Hell
have been
yeah.
wrong. Okay, so actually, so still, because you both drew on that one, Sushi's still in the lead. So you need to catch up, Zeus, mate. Otherwise, you're on a slippery slope to being crowned officially dog shit at league. And whilst it would be true,
I
we
would
don't.
fucking do
Maybe
that.
we don't want to do it. Who knows? But question number 3. Let's see. How many skins does Diana have, including the base skin? 5, 6, 7, or 8? How many skins? Zeus, got an answer?
I don't fucking know.
Well then take a guess. It was pointless, you guessing anyway. Yeah, so she got it 7 including base skin, which, I mean, look at that face. You know that she didn't know that. That was an absolute random guess. 100%. But
Hell yeah.
it puts you in a tricky situation, mate, because now you have to answer a question, and you have to get 2 questions in a row correct in order to even just tie it up. So, go on, Sushi, make him answer something.
Okay, I'm gonna ask 3. Who is the most overrated player in VL?
And why? And you can answer more than
Yes.
one person if you wish.
This will be good.
I'd
Right.
hope so.
I've got 2 answers for this.
Okay, go on, lay it on me.
Number 1, Jaded. He's
Yeah.
good, but he plays against dogshit people, so they make him look good, like more good than he actually is. And number 2, Elvin, because he just trash talks.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
Can't
I
trash talk my boy Sean.
I
Go on.
was gonna try and defend him and be like, yeah, but he's actually a good player, but he's just fully not. Like, he just last hits kills and looks good. Like, I genuinely think he's pretty fucking trash.
He's got a bad case of Buffoo syndrome, so
He's getting
yeah.
hard carried by Spike and Pyro Tom, to be fair.
True.
So what can you do? Dog shit player. Justice for Sean. Right, well that one was nice and easy. Elven Blade shit, and Jaded is made to look better by playing against dog shit players. I agree. On to number 4 then, right? We got, what is Ari's W called? Foxfire, Spiritfire, Spirit Orbs, Vestian Orbs. Oh, tell you what, that was real close. You both put it at the same time, but shit. Have I forgotten it? Have I forgotten it? I think I know which one it is. Yeah, no, I was right. It's Foxfire. I got it right. It's all good. Yeah, Foxfire. So, yeah, Zeus, you got it, mate. Well done. That's 1. You only need to get 1 more. Actually, to be fair, if you get the next one, you tie it up. But for now, you get to choose either 2 or 5. Which one's Sushi answering?
Sushi, answer number 5 for me.
If you could
Cool.
remove
Okay.
1 person from the community, who would it be and why?
So I would have said Valkyrie.
What
but
the
he's-
fuck?
And listen. I didn't like you when I met you at first, but
What,
now I
when?
think that you're an okay person. So I don't honestly know anymore
What
who
the
I
fuck
would remove.
is this bullshit? What the fuck is it? Wait,
I
wait.
didn't like you at first because you were shit talking
Hey,
me
sorry, I was-
when
Oh,
we
you
first met.
have 13 points. It's okay. I felt validated in
He
my
wasn't
criticism.
dead. Like you didn't even know that back then.
Oh wait, what was I was probably just chatting shit. To be fair.
I don't remember what was happening.
Whatever I was saying was probably true. Let's be realistic.
Oh yeah, I would say that if I didn't know you now.
All right. Well, who are you saying now then? Now that you know that I'm an amazing, I'm just the best guy.
Honestly, I don't know.
That's not helpful.
Like,
That's-
I'm.
Come on, Sushi. Pick it up. Pick up the trash talk game.
There's got to be somebody.
I
There's got to
don't-
be someone you want to kick out.
Okay, here, just a sec. I know that I don't like Cyphora because he keeps fucking, he keeps fucking roasting me all the time in team chat for no reason. So, I don't have, like, good reasons. I just have, like, small reasons.
Right, so
because it already puts him off.
So who are we going for? Zyphora?
Zyphora.
Perma-random. No one even knows who the fuck he is. Irrelevant.
He's fucking a Sacramento main team support.
Exactly, he's playing on Sacramento, that's how you know he's irrelevant. It's a really easy qualification for being, like, a perma-random in VL now. You just gotta play for Sacramento, Tempest, or PWE, and that's it. You no longer exist. But
Wait, you're a perma-random.
Tempest support was okay when I first met him, but now I kind of. Let me, bruh.
They have a grandmaster coach and they play like that. There's no excuse. But this is like we're gonna move on because I'm gonna get in trouble for flaming people out of nowhere again. Right. So, last question. Now, Zeus, you have to get this right to even be within a chance of winning, right? Because obviously we got the rock paper scissors at the end. Yeah. So you got to get this one. Now, I don't have much faith. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
it's fine.
We'll see. Right. Last question. Which of these champions aren't from Targon? Leona, Zoe, Pantheon, or Xin Zhao? You are fucking joking. Go on. Put an answer.
I thought it was Zoe, but she's already written it. Fuck yeah, I think it's Zoe as well.
There is not right. Okay, two things. One, if you're answering second, why would you put the same answer as what she said? Because if you're wrong, then you're both wrong anyway. But if you're right, she was fastest, so she wins anyway. And two, man, how? It's beyond me. You are literally like the biggest Zoe fanboy that there is. It's like creepily the biggest Zoe fanboy there is. How do you not know this?
I don't think
of course it's
Wait, Zoe from Targon.
Yeah, Zoe is from Targon. Targon is like Aurelian
Where's
Soul.
Xin from?
Xin Zhao is Demacian. He's a.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm impressed.
I don't remember the law.
At how badly you've just. I can't believe you slipped like that, Zeus.
There's a reason I'm silver 1.
It's true, yeah, it is true. However, it has nothing to do with the law. What does have to do with the law, and also you being silver 1, is the fact that even if you won the rock paper scissors now, oh shit, no, actually, you both got it wrong. Fuck. So, if you win the rock paper scissors, you could draw it. But first, you both got to tell me.
What do you mean? I have 2 points.
Yeah, 2-1. So if he wins the rock paper scissors, it's 2-2 and you draw. But before we get to that, I need you to tell me who is the worst team that you've ever played against in VL. And Sushi, you answered first, so you go first again. Oh well, that was fucking easy, wasn't it? Why?
It's just because like their team that we won in actual VL games. And we kind of have this curse that we need to scrim our team before winning them in actual games. And we never scrimmed Tempest.
Wait, you guys win?
Yeah, we won them.
Yeah, I know.
You win games? Where?
Yeah, oh yeah.
When?
I mean, we win games when I decide not to win.
Alright, well, Zeus, your turn, mate. You can't choose Tempest.
It's
too easy. No, you can't choose Tempest.
I was going to choose the OG DVA roster from the start of last split.
Who was on the roster?
Nikki, Towie.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, say no more. I already agree with you. But why?
I remember Coco and Wavy both taking Demolish in a scrim against them because they knew they'd be able to just perma shove Nikki in the tower and proc Demolish. And
I mean, it's not difficult, is it? I mean, what else are you going to do when you're playing against a mid laner that doesn't own a pair of hands? Like...
And Towie, yeah. Love Towie, don't get me wrong.
Bad player, though.
It's bad.
Yeah, bad player. Agreed.
Not a bad role player, no.
You are?
He should never play jungle again.
Yeah, no, he should get out of jungle. I don't know why. To be fair, I think he went jungle because no one else wanted him on a team. But here we are with him playing on TKDS. So, who the fuck knows what's going on there? Right, okay. Now that that's done, we're sitting 2-1 to Sushi Zeus, okay? This is it. all the marbles. It comes down to this: whether you get to share being shit at League or whether you have to be the only one. Right? So what I need you to do is type either rock, paper, or scissors in chat. I'm gonna count down from 3, and then you're gonna send it, and we're gonna see who is dog shit at League of Legends. Okay? So 3, 2, 1, go.
Always go rock, always go rock, boys.
No, everyone always goes scissors when I play it.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Sushi. I had written scissors, and then
Yeah, I heard
paper.
you retyping. I fucking heard it. I saw you sneaking out there. Aight, well, here we are, boys. It's official. You now have to share the title of being utterly dog shit at League. Tell me, Sushi, you just lost the easiest win of your life. Probably one of the only wins you were probably going to get this season. How does it feel?
I feel great because we lost together with Suze, because, you know, that's what we do. We just
You
together.
lose the team.
Yeah.
We lose together, and that's fucking great.
I
'cause
mean,
at least
yeah.
we do it together.
When you're not winning together, you have to lose together, and
Hell yeah.
that is what's happened today. You are, you live up to your reputation of being shit. But Zeus, mate, somehow, even more than Sushi, because you only won based on luck, friend. Somehow,
Pure skill.
somehow you are even worse. So tell me how that feels.
It feels brilliant, honestly.
Feels
I
good?
love being shit.
Good,
I love
good.
it. It's
You should get used to it.
No one
Right.
can blame me for being bad if I know I'm bad myself.
No, I mean, you're still bad, even if you know that you're bad. But hey, you don't need me to tell you when you've got the entirety of Division 3. Okay.
I mean, we did win Tempest, though.
You did beat Tempest, to be fair, but I mean, that's like saying that you're the best looking in a Burns unit. It literally means nothing. So, since Sushi, you were the closest to winning, you get the first like 30 seconds. Anything you want to say, anyone you want to call out, good things, bad things, 30 seconds, off you go.
I don't know. I'm sorry for Kraden for tilting in the game we played together. I'm sorry for anyone I inted, especially Trollulu, when I was drunk and dealing with him. And you should do a lot more, because I'm dog shit and our synergy is not there.
Yikes. Right, okay, Zeus. Even though it was a draw, because it was only based on luck, realistically you are the biggest loser tonight, mate.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be outdone by a drunk Sushi?
I don't know. I've seen Sushi play way better when she's drunk, so it's not really that big of a deal. Honestly, she plays better when she's drunk.
That's true.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. All I know is that I'm not dealing with her. Oh, I'm not dealing with anyone. Fuck ranked. So, 30 seconds, mate. Off you go. Anything you want to say to anyone about anyone?
I don't know. Cliff, you're bad. Elvin, you're bad. Jaded, love you too. Taui, please don't hurt me. Wibby, you're a cunt.
Yikes. Okay. Well, now that the simping is done and it's out of the way, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoy the games to come. If I was more prepared and I told you what they were, but I'm sure that you knew, considering you clicked on the stream. So, cheers for watching, and we'll see you next episode of Name It or Flame It. Yeet!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Valence League. This is going to be Split 3. Today we're streaming the best of 3 between Prime Whatever and Deja Vu Academy. I am Alex Lascamel, joined by the ever so gracious Alex Nymera Hapgood.
Ooh, it's a joining of the Alexes. I didn't realize that. Ooh.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so welcome to the Council of the Alexes. We're meeting today. We do have some games to cast as well in the background, but that's kind of like that's the side dish, you know? Like this is the real important thing. Anyway, how are you doing, dude? In fact, this is our first time casting together. You ready for it?
I am ever so ready. I did the play-by-play about a year ago, and it was ever so fun, but I am ready to get back into it. I'm ready to be the rap god that BL needs, and the one it deserves.
The rap knight, the hero we need and deserve right now. Yeah, so of course we do have Prime Whatever and Deja Vu Academy here today for Division 3. They are both set at 4 wins. However, Deja Vu Academy are at 1 loss in series and Prime Whatever at 2 losses in series. What that means is that if Prime Whatever were to win this game, they would overtake Deja Vu Academy and get to that second space slot in Division 3. So there is a fair amount to play for in terms of the greater standings in this division so far.
The ever so special second place is definitely in play for both these teams. Both these teams have been up and down in the rankings. They've been trying to make their way up to the top, and this is where all the marbles come together. This is going to be a really interesting best of 3 to watch. They are going to just be battling it out, hopefully. So it's going to be a fun one to cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, both these teams have to look above them to Horizon Light as well. And Horizon Light will be looking down because these are 2 likely contenders for those playoff matches later in. And yeah, so there's still stuff to be. There is some scouting opportunities, if nothing left as well. I'm trying to remember the last time I don't think I've cast Prime Whatever yet. Have you had the pleasure of casting either of these teams before?
I have actually had the pleasure of playing with a couple of these players, but I've never had the
really?
pleasure of casting them before. Bafu,
So which teams have you played with? Enlighten me.
Bafu used to actually be the AD carry for Plague Academy, the sister team of the Div 1, Split 1, and Split 2 winners.
Okay,
So I have some
pedigree
personal
there.
experience there.
Okay, well, we are into draft, so if you wouldn't mind, you mind dragging us through that team list on the left-hand side?
So, for Prime Whatever, we have Ollie in the top lane, Unstoppable Nova in the jungle, Plat Police in the mid lane, Bafu in the AD carry position, and Flash in the support.
And of course, on the other side, by process of elimination, that leaves Deja Vu Academy. You've heard him before, you've heard him now. It's Lucas Bangalter, Sir Megaballs, I won't make any comments about that. Van Offel in the mid lane, Z-Man Jr. in bot lane, and of course, supporting will be Jazza02064.
That is a unnecessary string of numbers at the end of the name there, but sometimes you gotta do it.
I did cast someone with a name so garbled, I just knew him as Mr. Capture Code.
Was it Dorman?
I'm actually trying to remember. No, it was in a different tournament, unfortunately. However, I will be reprising that name if your name is so ridiculous. Be prepared.
That's just how you have to read it sometimes. As a caster, you don't have time to read out every single number. So we're just making it easier for ourselves.
However, we do have time to read out some of these bans, of course. Oh yeah, we've got a game to cast, that's the thing. So, bans coming through. Vladimir, Trundle, Ashe, and Hecarim Lulu. My first thoughts is that there's a lot of mid-range brawlers put in there with the Vladimir, the Trundle, and the Hecarim. That means that you're trying to... and a lot of these carries are really good in those kind of slightly elongated plays where the fight goes beyond just the initial engage, and you can start getting up your Conqueror stat, using Hemo plays, using Pillars to trap people in the fight. However, through all of this has slipped Caitlyn. It's snapped up very early for Prime Whatever.
Of course, Ashe and Caitlyn being the 2 most popular AD carries in the meta right now, and Hecarim and Evelynn being some of the most popular junglers in the game, so it's natural to see them getting banned as they don't really want them on the table, but I'm surprised to see the Caitlyn slip through, and we're going to be seeing a priority for the Shen, which is also a very high prioritized top laner.
So how do you deal with the Caitlyn? You can just dive on top of it. I think with the Shen, you can start, if you get a winning side lane matchup, you start pushing in, forcing people to respond in that side lane, have someone clearing. You can then have the Volibear dive onto your Caitlyn if they're wave clearing in another lane, and then have the Shen on top of them. Not quite as a submarine, it's more like a dive bombing aircraft at that point, but it's still the same kind of iconography. You go in with the numbers advantage, you get right on top of that Caitlyn. What is going to be hopefully stopping and disengaging that, though, is a Black Shield from Morgana and a Gravity Field from Victor. Lots of wave clear already, lots of range, trying to keep Deja Vu Academy at arm's length.
Always the fun matchup to see, the Caitlyn Morgana in the bot lane. That is absolute hell to play
Fun?
against.
I'm sorry?
Fun
Fun?
in a sarcastic
Have you
air
played
quotes
against
type of
them?
way. Air quotes type of way. You can't see me through the webcam,
Good,
but
good.
that is absolutely disgusting to play against, and
I'll
I'm
let you off with
surprised
that
to
one.
see it get through. But of
Let's see,
course,
I'd
Morgana.
I'd have to report that to the other council of Alexes, you know. We don't let that slip so easy. But because it's your first time casting with me in particular, I'll let it pass. You know, you get a
You'll
freebie.
let it slide. Thank you.
Yeah, that one.
Thank you. There are quite a few Alexes in VL to know.
I
one's
know,
surprise.
you know, like, of course, you know, it's our information network. It's how we know everyone.
Exactly.
However,
It's
no,
that's
go
how
on.
we slide into the secret underground society that we
Yeah,
rule
sure.
the world with. Lizard people.
Yeah, you know all those conspiracy theories. They're all true. What is also true is the power in the hands of an awful Syndra picked up. It is a good matchup into the Victor. You can pick Phase Rush, Electrocute, there's a whole host of rune choices you can use, and you have good trading opportunities versus someone like a Victor who's not great at defending himself up until maybe like 2 items. You have Perfect Hex Core, maybe a Banshees and boots like Mercury treads up in the like, you know, 15-20 minutes into the game.
So do you think that the Victor can outscale the Syndra in terms of around 15
Ooh.
20 minutes or something?
We're reaching for the scaling option already. Victor has really good damage for people who dive but don't manage to catch him completely. There's a Morgana helping out with that. There's a Caitlyn helping out with that. Victor helps himself with the likes of the slows his abilities have when he has the perfect hex core and he has the gravity field as well. If Deja Vu Academy fluff the engage, Mega Balls doesn't get onto the targets and delete them, then yeah, this Victor can absolutely shred through that front line, and he's going to do his job very well into the late game. So in terms of if that's how the game plan starts to coalesce as Deja Vu Academy, yeah, it probably will get outscaled by Prime whatever if they flub the engage.
And speaking of some safe safe scaling picks, we have the Sivir coming out for
Oh
Deja
boy,
Vu.
500 CS win condition, right? Is that the meme? Is that the one?
I think it was 1,000. I think it was Teddy that got like 1,000 CS.
Yeah, it was. Oh
in an
man, and that was
LCK
actually
game.
against SKT. That was against, yeah, that was.
Of course,
he
you
nice
being
plays
the
them.
SKT fanboy.
Yeah, that's me. It's been a sad week for me. Don't push it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What we will
First
be pushing is
rebrand to T1.
yeah. I don't mind the rebrand so much. I do mind that we just suck right now.
Understandable.
Okay, well, don't.
Sona.
Okay, yeah, let's go through these last couple of picks. There's Nunu, there's Renekton, there's Sona. Right. Sona dies really easy in this bot lane. If you get hit by Bind into Trap, you die. In fact, there used to be this old meme where Veigar ult would scale in Sona health bars because Sona had the lowest HP in the game for champions to release around that point. If you just end up doing just ridiculous amounts of damage, Sona is not someone who can stand up to big burst combos. If you get caught by any CC into a trap, into a headshot, you die.
I just don't understand what the Sona would bring into this Sivir bot lane combo. It's like you said, it's extremely squishy and volatile when it comes to this Caitlyn Morgana lane, which, as you might know, is rather snowbally because of Caitlyn's natural position to push towers.
Look.
If you can get barely ahead in that lane, you're going to be screwed. Sivir, of course, a very safe AD carry pick, but Sona's going to be trying poking people out. Of course, Caitlyn and Morgana don't exactly have that much sustain, but Sivir Q is the only thing I can think of that she can really follow up with. So an interesting support choice for Deja Vu.
It's not. It can't be the lane. This is probably just comfort. I'm gonna throw that out there. I think that Sona scales very well, isn't it, as a support? That's why we've seen stuff like Sona Tahm Kench, Sona Tarek. Sona does really well in the late game. You just have to get there. But without the gold income of being a carry or a solo laner, we saw a top lane a number of times, whatever. And also having the threat of the Caitlyn Morg, this is not an easy lane. It's very risky from the side of Deja Vu to put this in. However, if they do end up surviving lane, they get through to these brawly team fights we have talked about diving onto the Caitlyn, having the extra movement speed, damage, and of course the engage from the flash crescendo, that can come together in the 5-man groups. It's just getting to that point.
Speaking of flashes, this pre-level 6 flash in the bot lane is going to be ever so vital. Nunu mixed with a Morgana Black Shield, that is just something you have to watch out. Like once
I hadn't
Shen
even
hits
thought
level
about that.
6,
That's disgusting.
once Shen hits level 6, they might be able to turn around. Maybe if Volibear's there for a counter gank. But if Sona blows her flash like before Shen's level 6, Nunu can just sit by Krugs and he can just wait there and then boom, go Black Shield and it's free CC. There's nothing they can do about it. So
that's a very good point.
Jazz is going to
I
be.
mean, there is the spell shield from Sivir, so you can tank that up with Sivir and then run backwards. The question
Fair enough.
is, if you tank the snowball, have you just died to the rest of the CC coming in? Because what happens if Morg flashes in first, right? Goes for the soul shackles, locks people up. You only have one spell shield, and that's pretty obvious to say. But if you focus hard bot lane in this comp as prime whatever, you have a lot of inroads in because there are just two very low range squishy targets to play around there. I don't really want to spend all our time on the bot lane though, because as much as it is very interesting, there are other players on the map. I know, top lane, right?
Top lane island, yikes.
Yeah, Renekton versus Shen, really fun matchup. You can try and mind game, use that, what's it called? This Spirit's Refuge. That's the one, the W from Shen, to dodge it out on the W stun from Renekton. Renekton, however, if he does win that mind game, get that empowered W through with something like a Blade the Ruin King, wins pretty much every matchup in top lane in terms of the melee things. So there will be a burden of execution on these top laners to try and show that this matchup is in their favor, not just a skill matchup.
Deja Vu definitely putting a lot of faith into the hands of their top laner and bot laner. I do think that Renekton, once he gets that Bork, is probably just going to steamroll that Shen. He's probably going to have to be looking to some TP or ulti plays around the map as well.
You say that, but then I've seen Titanic Hydra Shens just destroy side lanes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. The
Bork is broken,
advantage is Renekton, but it is pretty broken. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I don't even play top lane that much, and if I do play top lane, I play ranged top lane. So you can flame me for that all you want, but still, I don't have to play those melee blade champions unless it's Aurelia. I play that in mid.
At least you don't play Ornn. I'll give you that.
True. Yeah, who plays that anyway, right?
Dirty Ornn mains. Disgusting.
Oh man, he does it all. That thing said, oh god. I mean, Ornn has just been this champion which has been meta for so long. I'm kind of glad we're seeing some diversity. It's not quite the season 3-4 top lane matchup of like 3 different champions just on a different order. It's Mundo, Shyvana, Renekton, Jax occasionally. It's better
and
than
then
that.
the Juggernaut meta. Fun.
I'm throwing up violently.
That was a fun meta to play through. Looking at the loading screen.
Wait. I let you say playing against Cape Morg was fun. I let that slip.
Sarcasm.
This one is too far.
It's too far. Okay, I'll back it up. Backing it up. Looking at the loading screen here, we do see all the rune choices coming out. Nothing too special. We do see that the Sivir and the Sona have opted for Exhaust Heal, just for that extra safety during the laning phase. Morgana and Caitlyn have opted for the Cleanse and the Ignite, as you might expect from something that is so oppressive in lane. Caitlyn just saving that Cleanse for whatever might come her way. She does have a black shield, but you never really can trust Morgana's, especially in solo queue. So taking the Cleanse is
I know that feel.
It's comfort, I would say.
Yeah. I do think that, so a couple of interesting things. So it's Aerie on Victor, could have gone for Comet, Phase Rush, could have gone for Spellbook. That's also another good thing on Victor. Caitlyn has gone for the Press the Attack. Actually quite hard to proc on Caitlyn. You're often going for 1 or 2 auto trades. You can try and get auto E-cancel and then have your headshot there. But it's kind of hard to get 3 chained together. You are against 2 lower ranged bot laners. It's not a melee support. Maybe that would be better in that for that kind of choice. Normally you see fleet footwork, but if you don't think you're going to get poked out, you don't need that. Maybe lethal tempo would have been slightly better here. So we'll have to track Buffoon and see, does he make value out of this keystone and feel confident enough to use this throughout the game? I guess the other thing to talk about is Electrocute on the Syndra. You can see Phase Rush. Pretty good versus the likes of Nunu, because he wants to just start running at you and make your life a little bit hellish, particularly when he has something like Nimbus Cloak and just smites you with Chilling Smite and runs away. However, the Electrocute does give you, as we were talking, as soon as this was locked into the Victor, a very good amount of kill pressure in this mid lane.
And it's definitely going to be needed, seeing as the top lane matchup can be a bit even. The bot lane matchup is definitely not winning, so the mid lane is kind of going to be the focal point for the early game for Deja Vu Academy. I was going to talk a little bit more about the Press the Attack on the Caitlyn. What you usually see is fleet footwork or lethal tempo. Yeah. And that's usually because, like you said, the short trades, lethal tempo is usually more into a scaling pick. Caitlyn doesn't really want to be looking for that, 3 autos onto the tank. You want to be looking for those traps. You want to be looking for kind of that zoning potential. Fleet gives you that extra kiting as well. You don't exactly need that much with it, like a Morgana and a Nunu to try and kite you.
You say that, but if Volibear jumps at you, any move speed is much wanted move speed.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that logic is, yeah, it's worth diving into that a little bit. So I'm glad you brought that up again, just because it's bluntly just quite important. And if we see Caitlyn not able to escape the last auto attack from Volibear who's run at her in this game, maybe we would then look back at it and say, well, Fleet would have been nice here. What if we see that they've done like 200 damage across the entire game with press the attack? Okay, then you think, all right, maybe lethal tempo is better for DPS. It's just worth diving into some of these decision-making things. And you can only flame people so much for these kind of things because the game moves on and it's more about the individual plays at the end of the day. But you can come back to these points of contention and say, okay, next game, let's see if you've adapted with that.
It's game one decision making. They're just trying shit out. I mean, you go cleanse into exhaust. It's gonna be fine. But we'll see how it works out.
Well, looks like we're finally loading onto the Rift, so as is tradition, we will go link up at that 10-second mark, and then Valk, if you're there, we'll count, hopefully he'll count us in. So yeah, it's, we've got to deal with being time travelers as casters. It's a very difficult situation for us.
We're Pulsefire skins, IRL.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, right, I am at 10 seconds. How about you, Alex?
Same here.
Perfect, right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, cool
and we're
stuff.
off.
Stuff.
Interesting thing to see here is that the Nunu has opted for the Nunu bot skin, and that is obviously an automatic mental edge for
sure.
Prime whatever.
I mean, at this point, I'd be DCing, I'd be having like 3 FPS. It's just too much for me to handle. My computer starts just revolutionizing, not revolutionizing, revolting. That's the one. Starts just throwing off the shackles of its creator. Nunabot, leader of the robot revolution.
Does look like they're also opting for an invade here. They don't exactly have the best level 1 aside from Morgana, but they're just going to be looking for that vision anyways, and they do seem to get it. Shen not looking to opt for the vision there. Oh, he is going in finally for vision on the blue buff, so that's 1 for 1 on the vision there trade.
That's pretty important, because if you do get, it's 1 for 1 on the vision trade, but it's ward on the same buff. There are no deep wards from Deja Vu Academy into the buffs of Prime whatever, and that means that the jungle star will likely be tracked from Mega Balls, and again, I am not joking about that today. I got put into VL prison. I've been on a bit of a hiatus, like they didn't let me cast for a while. I've been let out on parole, initialized by my regular casting partner. He's still in there, He shivved someone in VL prison, and we won't see him for a little while. But me, I'm back. No more Mega Ball puns.
You're free. You're free for making Mega Ball jokes, and now you're kind of a bit on edge, but you're free to make those jokes. I'm not sure how much you know about jungle matchups, but I do think that the Nunu could do quite well in terms of counter jungling versus this Volibear if you can get in for some quick consumes.
Well, this is the thing. Volibear is normally a ganking jungler. He wants to be very active on the map very early, and if Nunu has this jungle tracked, and we've seen the first buff being tracked there from the side of Prime whatever, means that Nunu can do that much easier. Yeah, and then of course when you come with the counter ganking,
gank turnaround in the mid lane.
There's one in mid.
Victor does get away, but does have to burn his flash. He does get a nice trade onto both the enemy jungler and the mid laner, though. The only summoner burned was the Victor's flash. We might see a return gank onto the Volibear later in the game to try and exploit that.
About to say, if you start in ganking as Volibear, the Snowball gives you a lot of extra move speed. It means you get to that play much, much sooner. And Unstoppable Nova does not stop in his way to reclaim some damage in the mid lane, although having the flash away from Victor, much worthier prize for Deja Vu Academy, because as we were saying, not the best matchup for him in the mid lane.
The Victor does have the TP as well if he does get forced out of lane because of that flash, but what do you think about cleanse into this Victor versus Syndra matchup for the Victor?
Yeah, I think that's why I'd normally go Phase Rush or Spellbook. It allows you to go for that kind of thing. Teleport on scaling mages is so important because it allows you to reset at the correct points to get yourself item advantages, which are very nice. Something like a Lost Chapter or your first or second Hex Core for the Victor are just very, very important. If the teleport helps you get to that point. Bot lane
Exhaust is popped onto the Sivir there, and she does pop the spell shield, but is no ability that can be used against the Volibear is finally in the bot lane, but he does get rooted. They might be able to turn this around if Bafu does play this correctly. Cinder is very low, but that is the flash taken up by Mega Ball's first blood given over to the Volibear, but the Morgana does make it out alive, and that is quite a few summoners burnt in the bot lane for that first blood.
And we were talking about hyper ganking hype early into the game, Mega Ball's making himself known, and this is now very much alarm sirens going off. Oh, there's a play in mid.
Mid lane was just another gank. They're just trying to cheek her out a little bit, but they don't really get anything off it except for a bit of chunk of her HP. Volibear seems to just be doing the Scuttle Crab, while Nunu is just chomping on some Raptors up in Volibear's own jungle.
You say that, but Volibear is still in mid lane. There's no flash on the Victor. If a Scatter the Weak lands, this could be a dead Victor. However, it looks like the play's been called off. Volibear goes back to base. Now we have to watch the implications of what just happened in this last minute. Mid lane has effectively added to nothing. Syndra gets chunked out, but will be able to reset at some point. Still sitting in mid lane for now. But bot lane, Caitlyn died in laning phase. That's awful. That is the alarms ringing in the ears of Prime whatever. Because Caitlyn, if she doesn't get ahead in laning phase, get plates, move to another tower, get more plates and start sieging around, just doesn't function the same way as a champion. So this is very bad news for that bot lane.
I think you guys are out of sync. What time are you guys on?
Yeah, I thought you were slightly ahead. I think we're actually time traveling. So what we will do, we'll pause at 450. And
Pause
then
at
we'll
450
restart.
and we'll
450
rejig.
paused. All right.
Yeah, I'm at like
for-
446 right now. I think I'm way
Oh,
behind.
okay.
Hang on. There we go. I'm at 450. Yeah.
Okay, so in 3,
Alright.
2, 1, go. See, this is
Sorted,
the
there we
problem,
go.
Alex. You know, I've given you a lot of freebies today, but you're starting to abuse the time travelers convention, and I'm getting a little worried here, dude. You actually one of these pulse fire things, or are you one of the Praetorians come back to like be Terminator on this series?
Well, I did buy Pulsefire Ezreal back on release. Don't want to say anything about that, but you know, I think it might just be my caster heart spamming that plus button. It might have been
no.
that. I don't want to say anything just yet, but that probably was my fault. But I do want to talk about a little bit how Bafu and Flash been playing this laning phase. Usually what you want to do with the Caitlyn Morgana is that once you hit that level 2 spike, you want to immediately look for those binding into trap combos. That's your bread and butter for that laning phase. But I did not actually see any worthwhile trading in the bot lane. It was more just Sona and Morgana poking each other out. So that is a deadly mistake in the early game for a Caitlyn Morgana lane. And obviously, it didn't directly lead to that they got killed, but it did lead that they didn't have that much of an HP advantage, which could have led to that they turned that gank around.
Incremental advantages, right? Every
Exactly.
time one of those things lands, every time a comet lands from Morgana after putting a tortured soil down, it makes things really awkward for the Sona Sivir trading patterns, because they can only do it in much longer intervals than the Caitlyn Morgana. They need to wait for the Sivir queue, they need to wait for other things like that. Obviously, Prime whatever have not managed to use that early advantage like you're saying, and stun misses
Gank in the mid lane, but it does look like that the Cinder does miss the Scatter of the Week. The Nunu is here for a counter gank, and the Victor ultimate is popping a bit, and it's just enough damage, but that shield is huge from the Shen ultimate. It does seem that they're popping. They're turning it around again! Double turnaround! Nunu does flash away, but the Ignite is burned, and the flash is left. The Cinder she does pick up the kill. Victor does pick up the kill on Volibear as well. Wait, Volibear got the kill?
Volibear gets the kill somehow or other. 2-1 is Mega Balls, but he ends up dying to the last couple of mini autos, I believe, that followed him through there. And the Victor manages to strike back. Huge waves just wailing on Syndra at the start of that play meant that a lot of damage came through. Didn't want to commit too deep, didn't have the unleashed power either, so things get really messy into that play. It makes it somewhat even.
The Shen ultimate coming in clutch, but I do think it got cancelled because we did not see him pop out, but that shield was just enough for them to be able to turn that gank around for a 1-for-1. Though
Yeah.
the Cinder did burn her flash unnecessarily. That might be able to be used by the Nunu again. With Victor's flash is now back up, so hopefully we'll be able to see some more mid lane action.
So we have no flash on the Syndra and no flash on the Nunu. So those are things to keep track of in this mid lane 2v2. I know something which you highlighted very early, but bot lane's happening.
The cleanse is popped by the Caitlyn, but it does look like she might be able to get away. Oh no! Oh no, the Sivir dives into the bot lane. The Ignite is popped, but she does pick up the kill. The Sona picks up the kill. Blimey. And the Morgana does pick up the kill on Sivir as well. She went a bit too deep for that Caitlyn. Ends up being a 1-for-1. I don't know why she did that, but sure, we'll take it.
Hooray for Division 3! Things that
Division
confuses!
3! Golf clap.
This is why the play-by-play loves VL, and the colorcaster has to sit there and go, what part of that do I talk about? Anyway, right, there's a 1-0-1 Sona now. We talked about how Sona scales into the game. Yeah, this is gonna help fair amount. Sivir dying there, diving under turret, kind of feels a bit awkward. Mountain Dragon started up by Deja Vu Academy. Nunu, though, we know how well he can steal those objectives.
Uh-oh. Does look like he's getting cut out, though. He does pop the ultimate to get that shield. Morgana does lend the binding to stop the engage there, but it doesn't look like he goes back in with the black shield, and that is the flash block by the Sona, and does look like they're going to pick up a kill there,
Huge
but the
grab
gravity
field.
kill by the Victor, and the ultimate just melts them down. 2-for-1 so far in terms of the fight, but it does look... Oh, flash forward for the Victor. It does look like he wants to pick up the kill with the death ray, but he doesn't do anything just yet. flash popped by the Volibear as well, and it's just going to stay a 2-for-1. But they do pick up the Drake for Deja Vu Academy.
Oh, take a bow, Plat Police. He's apprehended some Valence League criminals over on Deja Vu Academy. We talked about how Victor, Morgana, Caitlyn, really good at punishing people who overdive and don't catch the carries in the initial engage. That's what happens there. The grab field comes out, the Chaos Storm comes out, and when you flashed in on the Sona, yeah, we talked about how she's not the squishiest person in the whole League of Legends, and does go down. Pleply's playing that very well.
The Nunu, it was all just a bait. It was all calculated. Bot lane looking for a trade as well. The stun is picked up by the Morgana. That is just exact. Oh, the spell shield, so it won't pick up a second kill, but that chain is exactly why that matchup is so important in the bot lane. They just needed to land one ability. That's it.
That's legit. One binding, and that's it. Someone dies. Sona dies once again. Caitlyn gets some gold, ending up just about evening up the gold in between the AD carries, which, of course, not something you normally say about Caitlyn being behind, but still a worthy... I've said that word before. Anyway, it's a good... capitalization of Caitlyn on this laning phase, just managing to recoup some of their early losses.
I do want to point out the Victor being about 1.2k gold over the Syndra currently, which is not
nice.
what you want to see for an early game-based matchup.
That'll pay for a nice holiday. You know, that's the vacation home money. Oh, and in this case, it's getting a really nice.
Island, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, top lane's a thing. Top lanes, yeah, they are literally 10 gold apart. Yes. Nice. Cool. Speaking more about that mid lane difference, you know, we talked about not taking cleanse into Syndra matchup, maybe going teleport. We're talking, okay, yeah, it doesn't help in the 1v1 in the big trading the kill trades, but it can help in terms of resetting for those big items. Victor has the second tier hex core, has the empowered E and the empowered Q. Extra move speed walking around with that siphon power. Extra move speed in top lane though, Nunu's going in.
Gank trying the top lane, but doesn't look like they'll be able to do too much. Over the CC chain and the Nunu ultimate, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to get him as he flashes away to dodge the Nunu ultimate damage. But that was quite a chase there, and they do end up burning the Shen flash, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's 2 ultimates for a flash from Shen. And unfortunately, the Renekton stun did get absorbed by the Spirit's Refuge. The extra chain CC didn't come through. Ends up flashing away from Victor. Because of that, meant that the extra damage from that champion, which we've already talked about, having a huge lead, did not register in that top lane matchup, gets out alive.
Oh, this might be looking like a dive in the bot lane. Sivir and Sona pushed in this wave, and Mega Balls is just sitting around the corner. And the Stand Unite has already popped the ultimate for the Volibear so that the Oathbreaker pops as well. Both are just going to go down easy peasy lemon squeezy. Volibear picks them both up. That is one scary bear.
Oh, welcome to the ball
mid lane
pit,
as well.
In the mid lane, there's more balls.
Nunu with the big balls. Mega Balls. Mega Balls on the enemy team this time, but he does miss and they don't pick up the kill. The Victor is extremely chunked as well as the Syndra, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing much except for getting some turret plating. They might try and do something. Nope, they're just going to leave it at that. I did expect that the Herald was going to be dropped there to try and get some extra platings before the 14-minute mark. But
they do have 2 minutes before the plates fall off. They have options in mid and top lane to start playing around that. And of course, there's a minute and a half until the Infernal Dragon spawns, the second dragon. Maybe they want to save it for that timestamp where they can drop it in a lane, force a response from Deja Vu Academy, and then still get priority over the dragon as well. You get plates, you get a dragon, maybe in that point, and maybe that's a higher value play in their eyes.
Fair enough, fair enough. It's gonna be exactly at the end of that timer, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they play that out. Bot lane is definitely gonna be having to look to try and get some priority. Caitlyn does have quite a bit of wave clear, but you know it's Sivir. Sivir has, you know, the best wave clear.
Definitely
the absolute best wave clear. It's best. The greatest. The greatest wave clear.
Wow, things I did not want to hear today on Valence League. That's just You know, we talked about enjoying Kate Morgana. We talked. Yeah,
the bot lane might lead to something. The trap.
Oh god, this is the worst.
The trap didn't go down.
Oh, and the exhaust comes through, but okay, good man.
The trap is on cooldown.
Yeah, good guy, Z-Man Jr. not allowing his support to die, soaking up the ace in the hole, but pressure going across to the bot lane of Prime, whatever, just in time for the dragon to spawn.
That's exactly what I wanted to see from Prime Whatever's bot lane there, to try and get some priority for this Drake. Of course, Nunu, sitting in the mid lane right now, does pop the Herald, like you said, to try and get some pressure, try and open up the mid lane, and they might just use that pressure to try and start the Drake, or they'll just overstay a little bit. Volibear just sitting around the corner, trying to stop that Herald from taking his tower, and they do exactly that. Caitlyn pushing in another wave. Morgana trying to get some vision. It does look like they're going to be setting up for this play. Of course, Renekton doesn't have TP, but Shen does. He does not have the Stand United, though. So this will be a numbers disadvantage fight.
I was about to say, there is a global's advantage to Deja Vu Academy, but not having the shield from the channel might be quite important. We talked about how diving in can be quite difficult against a team of Prime whatever, and that shield was almost very pivotal in the mid lane fight when Megaballs did go down. Of course, he's now sat at 4-1, does have his ultimate for this fight, but they'll have to get through the trap line, and they'll have to go up against the consume smite of the Nunu.
Oh, Renekton does chunk the Shen out the top lane. That does mean he cannot be able to TP for this fight, but it doesn't look like they're going to contest anyways. Of course, Deja Vu have to be extremely careful when Prime whatever have this much vision control around the Drake pit because of that Morgana binding. They have an extremely volatile pick potential with the Caitlyn follow-up CC, so probably a smart move.
I've just come to a revelation. I think that Prime whatever are just a very teenage Transformer. You know, it's no longer Optimus Prime, it's Prime whatever. Like, who cares? Names are not important. No. Run with that. What else you got for me? I was trying to make a bit out of that. I'm like, where do I go from here? Transformers. Do you know anything about Transformers?
Transformers? I know about the Autospark. I know about Decepticons. I know about Autobots. I've seen the Michael Bay movies, sadly. And
I know about Shia LaBeouf.
I do know about Shia LaBeouf. I also know about Shia LaBeouf from your favorite movie, Indiana Jones 4.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Do not bring that up on broadcast.
Swinging from the vines.
Yeah, in one of my very first casts, I spent 15 minutes in a series talking about how bad Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull is, and yeah, in fairness, not all of that is Shia LaBeouf. Not all of that. It was just also George Lucas just wanting aliens. That was it. Anyway, quickly back to the game, please.
No. Syndra is still quite behind, still at the 1.3k gold lead in the mid lane. She has only picked up some boots and a blasting wand, but you never know, it's a Syndra. She'll probably still be able to one-shot somebody.
Well, that's the thing, right? There's no Mercury Treads on the Victor, there's no ammo on the Caitlyn either. The important targets don't have any magic resist. Volibear also does magic damage. Syndra will be doing... Oh, not Syndra, Sona, that's the other champion on that team. Will do some damage to top that up too with Crescendo into the...
mid lane.
Oh, look at that.
Does land the Scout of the Week, but he does flash the Cleanse so that the Absolute Power isn't in range. Because if it was, yeah, he wouldn't be. He would be grain screwed safe.
Yeah, and in the bot lane, we see that the other mid laner dealing some damage to the AD carry. Victor chases away Z-Man Jr., only using his Chaos Storm for trading that for the On the Hunt and the Flash, so an ult for an ult and a Flash, doing pretty well in that bot lane.
Mages, man. It's just mage items. You gotta nerf them. It's broken. Look at this hyper-scaling AD carry. He's just getting 1v1'd. It's not fair.
Yeah, who's got... Oh, actually, I was about to say, like, oh, it's like a gold disadvantage. No, they have actually the exact same amount of gold. So yeah, that was kind of feeling a bit unfortunate. Yeah, Platypus has managed to find himself in a really comfortable spot this game on the Victor. He's got through to his perfect Hex Core, has himself a very high damage build. If he ends up bursting out one of these lower range carries, gets on top of the Syndra or the Sivir, that's the perfect position for him to be in.
The zoning power of Caitlyn Morgana really getting shown off here. They do get a bit chunked, but Volibear is still looking for that steal. Of course, yeah, he does have to flash away as the Rift Herald is picked up by Prime whatever, but the Scout of the Week does chunk out the Morgana, but it doesn't stop the engage, so they do get off scot-free, but they tried.
Close stuff. That Scout of the Week looked like maybe a Flash Unleashed power could come afterwards, but I think getting stuck in the middle of the team with the Syndra at that point maybe ends up trading your own life back, and that's not something they want to see. So what that means is that no kills are secured by either team, and the Herald has been secured by Prime whatever. Siege is in the mid lane, and Caitlyn loves that part of the game.
Second Rift Herald is still in the Nunu's pocket. They're trying to force out this mid lane tower here. They're looking for a dive. The Volibear ultimate comes over the wall, and the Syndra, or the Sona does get popped by the Caitlyn. The Morgana does fall as well. The Stand United is popped by the Shen, which does mean that the shield is massive onto the Volibear, and they're just getting enough damage onto the Nunu. The Victor is running away with the Gravity Field, stopping the Volibear from getting just enough to make that a 3-kill for 1. But in the end, Victor does get up.
No, Renekton didn't die, so I think that's still
actually... No, Renekton didn't die, excuse me.
Yeah, so that's actually... Okay, so Platypus surviving means...
Flash from Shen does mean he does pick up the kill on the Victor. And Caitlyn has to step back as the Syndra and the Sivir are still alive enough to deal with any sort of re-engage.
Blade of the Ruin King broken by us. Titanic Hydra just slaps aside Plat Police, gets a shutdown for his troubles as well, an extra 150 gold over to the Shen. And this is what happens if you use all of your disengage cooldowns, like the gravity field, offensively under that tower. Sure, you get the Sona, but if the engage comes in afterwards, you do not have that same ability to keep range and allow yourself to output DPS that the Volibear Shen cannot deal with. There was a really good shutdown from Deja Vu Academy onto that siege attempt, and it gets them very much back into this game. We're only 100 gold apart.
Yeah, I mean, Nunu felt a little bit spicy. They felt that they had the gold advantage, they had the Herald advantage, but in the end, they pick up a Sona, and they lose 2 for it. Deja Vu Academy do turn around the fight, and like you said, it evens up the gold lead. So, again, just like the last straight fight turned around the game for Prime Whatever, that fight just turned around the game for Deja Vu, and now it's just an even gold lead. I do want to talk about... Oh, first there's a Drake fight, but the Renekton hasn't really been doing much.
No, this is... Trying to play a very wide map is something which kind of takes a lot of time and takes a lot of skill to do, because you need to know where the rest of the team is on the map, both yours and the enemies, like what's happening in mid lane.
The Black Shield with the Nunu combo means that he can just get in uncontested. The Sona ulti does mean that he doesn't get that fully charged ultimate, and they turn it around. That Sona ulti was huge. Nunu does get out uncontested, and the Saiyan United is dropped, but it does look like the Volibear is going to drop anyways. The Syndra also dropped. Ooh! The Ace in the Hole almost takes down the Sona, but she gets away just with a sliver of HP, and that is a 2 for 0, I believe.
I think that is. It is the mid and jungle going down for Deja Vu Academy. Nothing lost for Prime Whatever, except for, in fact, I was about to say the teleport, the Renekton. He was just there. That's very well positioned from Ollie to know that the fight was coming. Victor was in the top lane doing the wave clear duty there, and it meant that it was a very good fight. You said that the Renekton wasn't doing anything, and right as you said that, the Caster Curse comes into effect. Renekton comes in and does the last bit of damage, picks up an assist on that end of that fight.
It's on the board, finally!
Woo!
So now you can see that the early game was worth it. He did something. You can't blame him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So when we come out of the post game, it's like, well, you know who really did something this game? You know, this Renekton really did something at some point. Isn't that great?
I feel like he really utilized that Bork power spike.
Yeah. And
Syndra does look to trade onto the Renekton in the bot lane, and Volibear might also be looking for something here, but Nunu does pop the Herald and is there for any sort of retaliation. I don't think that they'll actually get anything off this. The wave is coming in, stopping the Herald, so I think Syndra and Volibear are just going to stop it in his tracks. Volibear does look for an engagement, Scatter the Weak does take him out, and the Absolute Power does chunk him a bit, but not enough for the Aftershock proc. He might just get away from this. The Nunu W is stopped by the Volibear, but he does get away with a sliver of HP. Volibear is rooted under the tower, but he gets away just in time. Oh my god, the junglers! The slightest amount of HP, the CC chains, but it doesn't matter. In the end, they do pick up Bafu, who did burn the cleanse, but it wasn't enough. That exhaust on the carry, boring meta, but we won't talk about that, does come in, which means that they pick up another kill in the bot.
Really, really close run things. Also, remember during that fight, there was a Shen not available. Speaking of Shen, oh, he's just slaughtered Plat Police.
That is not something you want to see.
No,
but
it's absolutely not.
Build offensive on Shen, I guess you have to get offensive on Shen.
Yeah, he has wave control, and if he ends up getting on top of people, the auto reset cycling through your Q, which is already a lot of base damage from the Shen, means that you can take down people who have not got any sort of HP, any sort of resist to deal with your damage. This Victor, we talked about how he did so much damage to that Sivir in that bot lane 1v1. Well, the trade-off for that is if you go up against someone who can get right on top of your face, the Volibear, the Shen, and they have good damage as well, you do not survive that champion.
Fair enough, fair enough. I do want to talk about how this Sivir has, after her kind of a shoddy laning phase, she was in the side lane quite a few times against this Victor, trying to see us, trying to get back into it, and then she was always there for the fights, which does mean that she's actually up about 600 gold on Caitlyn now. So a plus to Sivir to try and get herself back in the game after that interesting laning phase.
I think the thing for remember we were talking about early lane saying, okay, well, Kate Morg haven't really done what we wanted them to do, and then yeah, a couple of kills came through, and that was looking a little bit bad for Deja Vu Academy. Now you've got not just gold onto the Sivir, you also have a lot of XP too, and trying to recoup that XP deficit is quite hard from the AD carry role. I remember Doublelift and Sneaky both saying at different points in the last year, saying, yeah, it's just really hard trying to get back XP advantages and stuff. When you have a full level and a half on the Sivir, it will stick throughout most of the game. Oh, that's a lot of damage in top lane.
That is a trade that Shen is going to
I was going to throw it over to you. was like, oh wow, fight. Oh, it's over. Okay, right. Cool.
Yeah, the camera didn't think it was a good idea to just throw itself on the top lane, which means it isn't worthwhile for me to. So, camera problems. Observers, if we had any, I can just blame them. But
Yeah, that's it.
it's just a nice trade in the top lane. Shen just getting priority over that wave. But like you were
Honestly,
saying,
now accepting applications for observers.
I wish that would be
That'd be
fun.
pretty cool. Yeah, I could do that. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah,
I think it would be a lot of like praise behind your you'd get praise from the caster, but a good observer is one don't notice there is one.
Well, okay, unless you're at the real top end. So the LEC, LCK observers really, really good at doing their cinematic camera shots, and like in the replays, they zoom in on the right people and they make sure that you see the play happening almost before it does. One thing that's a really good example of this. Do you remember Praise Asher at Season 6 Worlds? The LCK observers pointed that out before the casters actually knew it was happening. That's the kind of thing which you praise people for.
Oh.
And you got to praise these teams for committing to the fights.
Sivir ulti is dropped along with the Stand United. The 3-man flash pot! The Titanic Hydra damage, is huge onto the backline. The Victor and Caitlyn are just running away from the Shen, but it does look like that the Nunu and the Caitlyn are going to be dropped. The Renekton did come around to try and peel a little bit, but the Flash Scatter of the Weak does pick out the Renekton as well, but the Gravity Field does allow a turnaround. Renekton doing a huge amount of damage, misses the E, but it doesn't matter. That ultimate aura damage is not going to be enough. Bork active is on cooldown, but the Flash is burned to try and get that kill. Victor does survive a little bit, and that means that Volibear and the rest of Deja Vu Academy just pick up that Drake. What a huge engage.
Yeah, Lucas, buddy, chill out. That is totally not fair. How that 3-man flash taunt? Do you know how hard that is to do? Because your taunt stops when you flash. Like, you don't get to taunt midway through a flash and then continue the rest of the movement after you do that. What that means is that your character model has to overlap, or at least the hitbox of your ability, needs to overlap with all of the targets when you land. Getting that onto 3 people, even when they're clumped, is really difficult. He gets a huge amount of damage coming out of that, because if you immobilize someone with the Sunfire Cape, that has an AoE burst around your character, gives an extra burst of magic damage to them, and then he comes through with the Titanic Hydra. He half-healths like both of the carries. He does die chasing them down, but it doesn't matter that he dies. The back end of the fight has gone to Deja Vu Academy, they get themselves the dragon, and that's been turned into a very good play for them.
Not only did he just get a huge amount of CC onto the backline, he just chunked them out. The Titanic Hydra active auto reset with the Shen Q is huge. Like, Victor and Caitlyn were surviving on about 300 HP. That is disgusting.
Now the question is, can he do it again? Because that, if we've been talking about this the whole game. If you manage to shut down the backline very early into the fight, great, whatever. That, Prime whatever, gonna really struggle to kite backwards if they've lost 2/3 of the HP on their carries. However, if you fail to do that and Victor starts walking forward, and as we see how quickly he dealt with Venoffel on the Syndra, things can turn out very, very bad for you if you don't have that similar kind of engage again.
Renekton wasn't there either for his job. He was there to try and peel for the backline there after Shen was just running them down. The Stand United and the On the Hunt were dropped extremely early for that engage.
I don't think you understand. He's got a KDA of 3 and no death, so he's got an undefined KDA, so obviously he's the best player on his team right now.
Obviously, yeah. I'm sorry, Ollie. Please.
Yeah, no.
Please don't hurt me.
Well, I give you this one. Like, I'm giving you a lot of freebies today. That one, that's okay. You got to learn somehow. I'm a gracious co-host, co-caster.
It's just I'm sorry. I forgot that when I'm a caster, I have to go down 3 IQ. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know. You got to make sure that your IQ is the same as the room temperature. Yep. I heard that.
You don't want to say that. It's about 35 degrees in my room right now.
That's what I was saying. It's the first time I heard that today. I was like, huh, that's a good one. I'm gonna use that.
That's right. A good one.
Tune into my solo queue games for more interesting insults. That's a lot of traps in a brush there, Caitlyn.
Interesting insults from the all chat.
Yeah.
It does look like they're going to be setting up for this Baron. They're going to try and do something. They do have quite a good Baron take with the Blade of the Rune King on the Renekton and the Caitlyn doing rather consistent damage.
Yeah, Victor's high damage as a mid laner. Caitlyn's high damage with the crit there, so you keep cycling through headshots. That's fine. Your single target damage to Caitlyn is very nice. She's gone for the eye into the rapid fire cam. That's better for kiting, in fairness. A lot of the time I do like to see a Stormrazor second go for the really high AD build, but when you're trying, the extra move speed from the Zeal, also coupled with just the extra range you get to play with each of those Zeal procs coming, the energized procs coming through, excuse me, does mean in this kind of game, when you're trying to survive the initial dive, can be quite important, so I don't mind that this time. However, the extra Kerchi's Shard and Inventory, I do want to see a Stormrazor now.
Yeah, I was about to say, I hope that's not 2 Zeal items on Caitlyn. That's not what
Yeah.
you want to see. You want to see high AD scalings on that champion. In the top lane, Sivir's just trying to outrun the Nunu Snowball. Oh, just barely lands onto the minion wave, and she gets away scot-free, even though 4 people in the top lane to try and get her there. But
Yeah,
that does
did have,
mean that they end up getting vision control over the top side.
Does they end up burning the Sivir ultimate? The spell shield saves their life just about there. But as you were saying, the complete priority around the map has gone to Prime whatever in this short instance of time, and they're starting the Baron with that opportunity.
Volibear was sighted bot lane,
It's
which
on
means
vision.
that they can just start it.
Dude, Victor's
And they're
TPing
melting through it
in.
quite quickly. Victor's here as well. Shen does have the Stand United up as well as the TP. And it's going to be popped, but the trap does stop him. Oh, the two-man can send him. And the Shen comes in. That means they're just going to burst down 3 players from PWE. And they're just going to take the Baron for themselves. That is gross, that amount of damage that they just put out. That
Flash
Righteous
crescendo,
Glory
baby.
with... Yep. Righteous
it,
Glory mixed with Volibear Q, mixed with the Stand United. What are you going to...
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm not a big fan of stone play on the Volibear. I prefer a dead man's play. To do pretty much what he did with the Righteous Glory, either way, ends up working out. They get the Flash Crescendo, 3 men into the, excuse me, 3 champions stunned up into the Volibear ultimate. Just does so much damage. And of course, the Shen, we talked about his damage on the initial part of a fight as well, when he does go in with the taunt into the Titanic Hydra auto reset. What this ended up being was Prime whatever, kind of just leashing Baron over to Deja Vu Academy. Unfortunate instance for them, because of course you know that Nunu is really good at securing that, but if he's dead, he can't press his smite key, and that means that now they have to face down against the 5-man Baron buff team of Deja Vu Academy, and they just pick themselves up some extra cooldown reduction for their ultimates as well.
That does mean that the next dragon is going to be soul point, so that is going to be crucial. I do want to talk about how Shen understands his role completely in this game now. He's not a tank. Sunfire Cape? Yeah, sure, maybe. Going for the Wit's End, though, because he understands that he can just pop the backline.
It is also really good damage too, right? It's really good. It's pretty decent damage. Gives you a lot of attack speed. Keeps cycling through your Qs that we've been talking about. It means you probably get an extra auto attack in the duration of your taunt CC, and with no tenacity picked up on the Caitlyn or the Victor, as we've been saying, that's pretty relevant, you know, because he's often letting the carries get away with hundreds of HP. And if you have the extra auto attacks coming through, maybe they leave with 0 HP. They don't leave at all. They're consigned to their fate at your feet.
Exactly so. And that Baron is already being utilized by Deja Vu. They've already picked up 1 mid lane tower, and Shen, ever being the ever so present threat in the side lane, does push up the minion wave, and it does look like he has to back off. Victor has to back off, as Deja Vu are rotating to try and get this bot lane tier 2 as well, and maybe even pressure the in-hit.
Oh, Graphiel comes down on top of the bind.
Oh,
ouch.
huge damage. That is the Sona just bursted, and the Sivir gets hit by a binding, and that does mean the flash in for the engage. The Volibear does with the ultimate, and the flash taunt by the Shen does mean that the Victor dies. Caitlyn is sitting back, just autoing, and the Renekton just flashes it to try and get the Syndra, but it isn't enough. The Volibear does get picked off in the end, but the Syndra is sitting in the back like, oh, but she does get hit by that binding, which means she will fall down to the Ignite. Shen is the only surviving member of Deja Vu to get out of that fight. What a horrible way to use that Baron buff.
Well, thank God the carry survives. The Shen is still alive. 5, 1, and 10.
Exactly, best
Yeah,
player.
this is why we're talking about Sona in laning phase kinda sucking versus something like Cape Morg. 1 CC lands, you die. I think that Jazza stepped up way too far. I don't think you can be in that position. It's not your role to be in that position. You have a Volibear to tank that kind of CC. Even the Sivir with a spell shield is a better option at that point. You might want a QSS. In fact, that Null Magic Mantle in inventory might be leading towards that, but that is still a pretty problematic situation for Deja Vu Academy, who did just waste a lot of their Baron buffs, as you're saying.
Flash landing, or Flash on the Morgana landing crucial bindings in that team fight as well, picking off the Sivir, who was also extremely
you're talking about some of the spells like Flash.
Yeah,
landing
that
the
it is
what?
really.
I didn't notice that. That was so cool. What?
And then he landed some crucial bindings. The Sivir, who was extremely pushed up, means that she got popped as well. The Syndra, who is out of the fight, gets hit by another binding and gets killed by the Ignite, or I don't know if she specifically got the kill, but did die. The Caitlyn is picking up 2 Zeal items. The PD, I was going to say before, PD probably a better option than Rapid Fire Cannon at that point, but
it has the Storm Razor anyway. That's fine. You've got enough AD. I mean, I would prefer Lord Dominic's Regards. You're chunking through 2 big tanks, and you have enough AD for that to really make a lot of impact. If you end up chaining your headshots, that will be very important. PD though, it does help in a lot of situations, don't get me wrong. It's some slight min-maxing on your stats at that point. Either way, 4-item Caitlyn does a lot of damage.
Of course, if you really want that attack speed, go for the double zeal item. But for any Caitlyn mains aspiring to try and get that elo,
Yep.
I do recommend for 100% crit that you go S Retriever instead of 2 zeal items. Caitlyn isn't really in need, kind of like Sivir doesn't really need that extra attack speed. Sivir, of course, having that auto attack steroid on her ult passive with the W. Caitlyn
And has an auto reset too.
First. Huh?
And she has an auto attack reset too.
And she has an auto attack reset, exactly. So she wants that as much damage as possible, especially with the ricochet. Caitlyn is also highly multi-bursting.
Yeah. Also, if you really want to get into the numbers of it, get a bit nerdy about it, which I always do. I love my my big stats and stuff. Caitlyn doesn't really have a high attack speed ratio as an AD carry, because if you have 20% attack speed, that is a percentage of a flat number. If that flat number is relatively low, that percent does not actually add up to too much extra attack speed. Tristana is another carry which doesn't really have that higher ratio, but Caitlyn does have base in her kit an extra 20% as a at level 1. If you start building percent attack speed on something like Zeal items, it doesn't affect her as much as someone like another AD carry.
Yeah, so you want to try and get those high AD items instead of the attack speed, as Nightmare said. And both AD carries, they're trying to opt in a little bit more for the AD.
Actually,
Sivir, of course, going for Essence Reaver as well.
Bloodthirster might have been better here, thinking about it. Bloodthirster
On
or Death
Caitlyn
Dance,
or
just
Sivir?
yeah, on Caitlyn. Yeah, instead of the PD,
Yeah,
just go
yeah,
towards it's higher AD, gives you some defensive stats either way. Death Dance, Bloodthirster, and it just allows you to survive through the fights. And instead of kind of like allowing you to survive at the very last instance of damage, it allows you to heal up throughout the entirety of the fight. You're always going to be hitting a target, so lifesteal is nice anyway. And it can give you just the extra mileage in those fights. Either way, that's something to something that they can learn from in the future. Ow, that's some damage.
Sivir ultimate is popped. They're trying to get the engage. The Stand United is popped from the Sona, but she almost dies. The Sivir does get popped in the end by the Caitlyn, and that is going to be one dead Morgana. The Volibear ults in to try and get into the backline. The Renekton doing work in the backline as well for the side of PWE. The flash is failed by Mega Balls over the wall to try and get the victor, but it does look like the Caitlyn is getting 1v1 by the Shen. Who could have thought that that would have happened? But in the end, right now at least, the Syndra does get caught as well in the end by the Renekton and the Victor tag team, and that is 2 surviving for Deja Vu, but it does look like they're going to be re-engaging. The Renekton and the Victor not exactly on the same page for that re-engage, but the Caitlyn is still alive, so they might be able to pick something off here. Victor is trying to zone off while Nunu comes back in with the engage. It does look like Volibear is going to try and get out. Oh, he's going back in. No, you want to leave. But the Shen does pick up the Caitlyn as well. That is brutal positioning by Bafu that he does end up being picked off, even with the PD shield, which was on cooldown technically.
Yeah, no, Lucas takes the PD shield and knows, aha, you don't have this for the second time I go in. Imagine if he'd had a Bloodthirster, huh? Either way, we can rat about that a bit later. It's a hugely bloody fight. I can't even remember who completely... I'm trying to remember the full kill totals for either side. Bloody either way, and the dragon goes down to this time to prime whatever. So 36 minutes into the game, there is no soul being taken, no Elder Dragon, which means that this game is still probably going to go on for a little bit longer if these teams continue to fight around some of these objective timers.
PWE still have some death timers, which does allow Deja Vu to try and set up around this Baron, which is the only objective on the map right now. They're just trying to clear out as much vision as they can before the Renekton and the Caitlyn are back into the map. Victor pushing the side lane, does have the TP if anything breaks out. It does look like they're going to try and contest for this this Baron, as it's the only thing they really can do right now. They don't exactly have that great of waves for PWE. Deja Vu are just trying to get as much pressure as they can right now, knowing that both teams have rather decent scaling.
Yeah, both teams have late game scenarios that they win and lose in. I think that if you do, that last fight went pretty well to prime whatever until the back end kills came out of Lucas, Bangalter, and crew. However, if you do have one of these fights where the Shen is just allowed to wail on the carries continually and can do that with having global pressure too, pushing in side lanes, going for inhibitors, whatever, prime whatever, you can have a very interesting late game scenario setting itself up.
Oh, they're looking for an engage here. The On the Hunt is popped to try and disengage from that ace in the hole. Nunu was just on the tail of that Sona, but he gets away, kind of Looney Tunes-ish. But in the end, it is Deja Vu squad that ends up being on the forefront of that, as the Shen in the bot lane does give them enough pressure to walk into the Baron and clear all the vision that Prime Whatever just put in.
Yeah, okay, right. So we are left with the majority of the red team still in the top river, trying to get themselves some Baron vision themselves, trying to clear out the wards that were just put down by Prime, whatever, as you were saying, vision control being very important at this stage in the game. We should probably check in on what's happening with the Baron, though, because it's been started by Deja Vu.
12k, but the Nunu is trying to look for something, but he doesn't end up getting it. The gravity field is popping. That is a stun volley bear. The Gargoyle Stone Plate might not save him as the Victor ultimate does take him away, but Shen is just whittling away the tower in the bot lane, while PWE are going to be trying to pick up this Baron.
I guess they're saving their ults for next game, because they still have volley bear ult, wasn't used, and they still have the Shen ult, but Shen's taking down the bot turret.
Victor teleport is used to try and save that bot turret, but it is going to fall either way. Shen does flash to try and get that 1v1 in the bot lane. Nunu does pick up the Baron. This is 2 split fights. Renekton tries to win the fight by the Baron, while Sivir is just auto-attacking away Morgana, trying to land that ultimate, but she doesn't get stunned. It does look like Renekton, Caitlyn, and Victor, and Morgana are picked up. So in the end, they actually win that.
Yeah, it's only Nunu left alive. So
this might just
means
be able to win the game.
This could be the end of the game. I'm trying to remember who the Baron went down to. Of course, it was the Nunu that ended up securing that, as far as I'm aware. And Lucas Bang Altar will still keep pushing in these minions. But can Nunu keep these minions alive with the Baron buff long enough for his team to respawn? Could come out pretty close.
That wave clear from the Sivir and the Syndra might help just whittle away these cannon minions. With a new wave coming in the bot lane as well, they might just be able to take down this these Nexus towers, but the death timer on the Caitlyn is coming up soon. The Nunu tries to stall as much as he can. The Devour coming in huge with the heal as well as the ultimate shield.
3.
And the one Nexus tower will fall. Caitlyn is up. Morgana will be up soon, but I do think this is just game if they try and get the Nexus here. On the Hunt is popped to try and kite as much as they can. Syndra, Sivir, and Sona all focusing the Nexus, and it will end up falling. That is game 1 to Deja Vu Academy.
Nexus falls. Where have I seen that one before? Feels like Deja Vu, or at least their Academy do take down game 1. I know, right? I have a quota of those I can use per game. I thought that was a pretty good one.
It's good.
Let's scroll over to the damage graphs there, and yeah, that's a lot of Shen damage. I mean, Victor and Caitlyn, of course, with their range advantage, having very high scaling ratios in their kits as well. Of course, ended up having very high damage numbers too. But this Shen, oh my word, that was a pretty hard carry performance, if I say so myself.
Definitely so. Lucas showing up big, especially in some of those early fights where that 3-man taunt, that was
Huge.
That was crispy.
Huge.
It was a lot of ups and downs in the early game, but in the end, Deja Vu just get that mid game lead and snowball it as much as they can, and they end up winning the game on the back of Lucas on that show.
They do. So, Deja Vu Academy, they came in with a +5 game record. They are now up at +6, even though they are equal in series wins to Prime Whatever. Prime Whatever will have to pull off a reverse sweep if they were to take this victory today. But to find out how that goes, we're going to have to cut to a quick break and recover our voices.
Welcome back, everybody, to Valence League Split Numero Tres. This is the best of 3 between Deja Vu Academy and Prime Whatever. We are just off the heels of Deja Vu picking up their first win. And I, as always, am Alex Last Gamel, joined by Alex Nymera Halfgood, the Battle of the Alexes. And we are here to cast.
Yeah, and last but surely not the least, you did a pretty good job with that last game, so pretty happy with that. Fun cast. And fun game as well. I was relatively happy with the level of play, you know, considering it's Division 3. You know, the higher the number, the lower the rank in terms of the average of your team. And I think that particularly Lucas on that Shen, if we did track players of the game, he'd definitely be getting that. But the weird thing is, even though you could say, oh, it's a bit of top difference, it's not like Ollie did bad that game on the Renekton either. He was diving the backlines, making himself pretty hard to deal with from the carries of Deja Vu Academy's perspective. So it wasn't like it was an uncontested game.
I don't want to undermine the fact that Sir Megaballs, Byron Vanilla, also did quite well in the Volibear in the early game. He was all around the map trying to get leads, and especially some of the less fortunate matchups.
Yeah, and remember that massive fight around Baron, which kind of sealed off the... Well, I mean, I said sealed off the game, and then they lost 4 people down in bot lane. That was kind of awkward. But that really big fight around Baron, that started by Byron Megaballs coming in, being that dive bomb with the Volibear ultimate into the Shen taunt coming out. That was after the crescendo had come out of the Sona as well. Really good wombo combo devised by Deja Vu Academy, and it showed off really big around some of these big objective fights.
Living up to his namesake, he had big balls, mega balls, and he just dove in, and it won him the fight, and they picked up the Baron just off the hands of PWE. In the end, they did kind of waste it in the bot lane, as PWE, excuse me. They did utilize the mistakes quite well, and they did catch some people out.
Yeah.
Yep. Bot lane.
No one in particular though. You know, we wouldn't out people like that on stream.
Oh, I would never out Z-Man on stream.
No.
Never. I would never out Z-Man.
Good. Yeah. Ah, well.
Yep.
Glad we got that sorted out.
Yeah,
I think that we do need to slightly more seriously. I know it's crazy. I do think that Flash played very well. I think that the Morgana was always there doing something very important, either black shielding the Nunu when he was trying to go for a snowball, ended up forcing out flashes out of the Syndra, landing bindings onto the people we said got picked up. Well, we didn't say got picked off. Anyway, some people got picked off and they were because of bindings, and it did seem like a lot of the big plays kind of started and ended with Flash. Platpolice on the Victor also had a really good early game. Struggled to pull it out in the late game. He had some really good trades onto the Syndra and the Civet, just never really showed up in the late game.
I definitely want to see some improvement down in the bot lane as well, though. They didn't exactly utilize their matchup to its fullest potential. I also want to see Ollie maybe get put on something a little more mid to late game, as his early game existence wasn't, well, existent.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. But
yeah, I think Unstoppable Nova did his job on Nunu as well. He did some... the unseen Nunu is the deadliest. Just vision control is extremely important when playing Nunu, because if you see him coming at you at, like, ghost amount of movement speeds, that is not something you want to see.
Yeah, and I do think that Syndra is one of the mid laners that can deal with Nunu a little better than others. I mean, I say this as a mid laner who has played against AP Nunu quite a bit, so I've had my fair share of different matches. It's really fun, by the way. It's so fun.
Is it? No, it's gross.
Oh, oh, dude, it's hilarious to cast. Sometimes you're just there, you're just chilling. You know, you're going through your various off-topic things, which you do quite a bit in casting. That's one of the first things you learn how to do. And then just suddenly there is a Nunu doing God knows what in different lanes, and you've had like 5 seconds to prepare for it because that's how long it takes him to pop Predator and run somewhere else on the map.
AP Talon, basically.
Oh yeah, oh man.
Talon was fun to cast.
I was briefly top 500 Talon EU West in season 8, very start of it.
Okay, Chris.
I inted my heart out in my placement games, Ari in the very early season. So I was like, okay, all right, let's go play some AD Assassins, try something different. And I suddenly went 10-0 on both Zed and Talon, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm just there, and I'm like, why? Why do I have stats on like OPGG right now? Anyway, that was a fun time. And then after those first 10 games, things went very, very badly. So I only say that in the very early season of Season 8, so it completely diminishes the award. But I do get to have that little tagline of, hey, I was top 500 on this champion for a bit.
Wear it on your sleeve. It's a nice little thing. It's a pretty big achievement. I
Yeah, it's
do
alright.
respect you as an AD carry main. Some people might not agree with me, but I respect
Oh,
AD
gosh.
assassin players more than mage
How
players.
how much do you have to hate yourself to play AD carry this season? How
Oh, I
much?
think it's like the most played role, so I would say most people hate themselves.
That's wow. That
And
says a
I
lot
would
about
say
our
it's
society.
pretty big. It depends on what AD carry you.
True. I
I
mean,
think
yeah.
if you play Sivir, you hate yourself the most.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's definitely up there. There are a couple of AD carries you'd assume people hate themselves for playing stuff like Vayne, which is super low range AD carry with the crap laning phase. And you're like, you gotta have something wrong with them. But then you just have to have that amount of ego to have those late game 3-4 item carry performances. I do play AD carry as my off role. I think last year was pretty fun because you had Zaya Kaiser, you had the ability to play into most team comps because you could peel for yourself. I think Ezreal's like that right now because at least he's mobile enough and has
Ezreal's
damage at some
always
point in the
been
game.
good. It's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was a point where it was pretty ass. I mean, Season 8 was pretty bad. That
Yeah.
was
Okay.
when
Fair
the
enough,
awesome
yeah.
dudes came about. There have been
Mhm.
points when Triforce was kind of a meh item. Yeah, that's an interesting point. But Ezreal right now has been pretty good. Although I have to say, most of the time when Ezreal's good, he's abusing something like Conqueror or Klepto or Death Stance. It's been a hard ride for that champion.
Yeah, the Conqueror nerfs did kind of put him in his place. He's back to his old lethal tempo / PTA ways. Not my favorite. I do still miss Klepto. I miss having 6 items at 3 minutes.
Oh, it was so stupid. It was so stupid.
No,
I loved it.
I know it was stupid, but it was so fun getting an elixir. And
But then you have
So
champions like Jason, Vlad, and Ken in the top lane coming out with like a 2,000 gold lead because they managed to roll, and then getting an extra level because they got like a skill pot. What the heck?
A woman's left unsatisfied.
Shen automatically banned. Not
Yeah.
surprised, Lucas. One
Yeah.
of the sole reasons for the win last game.
And also worth noting that we are on the same sides. We still have Prime Whatever on the blue side. We still have Deja Vu on the red side. Introduced them in that last game as such. And yeah, so the Vladimir is still taken away. Lulu's still taken away. I believe Hecarim and Evelyn were also taken off the board.
Yes,
Is
sir.
this going to be a Caitlyn ban again? Do they care? Because of course Bufu didn't crush laning phase. Are they willing to try that out again? Banning the Yuumi instead?
Yeah.
That's fair.
So this leaves the Caitlyn and the Ashe open, both extremely popular AD carries, kind of niche in terms of team comp.
It is patch 1017, so Ashe is less good this patch. You don't have the same 60% bonus attack speed on your Q. It's gone back down to 40%. So maybe not quite as popular. This does leave open the Volibear again. Mega Balls just keeps playing that on cooldown, I guess. Okay, it will be the Ashe this time. They don't want to play the Sivir without the Shen, it seems like. So the Ashe is now going to be their primary engage alongside that Volibear.
The Volibear for Mega Balls did work out in the early game. Of course, mid to late game, it did really come down to the Shen ultimate to warrant an engage. But hopefully we might see some other engage options, such as the Ashe with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. We might actually see a Halo Blades. I always love seeing Halo Blades Ashe because you get to go Ultimate Hunter, and it's the most disgusting thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
You just ult in lane, and it's
yeah,
gross.
but the thing about Ashe is that you always want to have inspiration secondary for approach velocity. It allows you to auto or volley and have the move speed of like 15% towards them. When you have tier 2 boots and you have a Zeal item, you really can chase down people really, really well. Who's going to be chasing down people in this game, though, will be that Nunu locked in again, presumably for Unstoppable Nova, unless Plat Police has been practicing that mid lane Nunu, which we did wax lyrical about a little bit earlier, and the Ornn, that champion said, oh yeah, you play ranged champions in top lane, at least you don't play Ornn. Apparently all he does. Oof.
And it does look like they're hovering the Victor to try and take away from Plat Police as well. I'm surprised that they didn't pick the Morgana, which did make it through the first initial ban phase. Instead, they did feel that the top lane blind pick was more priority, as Ornn did get banned last first ban phase, I think, as well. Might have been second ban phase, I might be
Yeah,
wrong.
maybe they just think that was too important. I don't think the Renekton was a problem last game. I do think that Ollie struggled to get into the game. Maybe that's the worry, right? But it seems now Deja Vu Academy are trying to set up a good lane matchup for Vanoffel on the Victor. We saw that the Syndra didn't quite manage to punish the Victor last game, but it is still a pick which needs to be protected one way or another, whether that's by your jungler hovering around their lane, or just, you know, making sure that they're not against a kill pressure champion. The Veigar can be pretty good against zero escape champions. You can take the cleanse on the Victor in that case, just run into the wall and then just run out the other side after you've cleansed. They are still not too happy letting that champion through. Oh, it could have been Veigar support, actually. Maybe that's what they're banning for. Anyway, still, found a way nonetheless.
The Morgana is banned away as well, which means that the Caitlyn won't be able to have her favorite e-girl support by her side to try and stomp the laning phase.
My
what
favorite
else
e-girl
was-
support is Ari support, because that's the only
Of
champion I
course
play
it
in that
is.
role.
I think I'm so glad to see the Lulu and Yumi bans, as they are the most sadistic
Oh,
champions
yeah.
in this game.
Well, so
If you
I
play
started
either of
playing.
those champions, it's just gross.
I remember when the Star Guardian Lulu skin was released. I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's a nice skin. But I conscientiously object to anything which would make people play more Lulu. I just cannot support that kind of release for that champion. I played in Season 5 when Lulu mid was the thing, and it's haunted me to this day. Anyway, I got sent now. Talk about
that. Corki. Yes, Corki picked for the mid lane into
Wow,
the Victor
cool.
matchup. Mid lane
Yeah.
matchup, that's your thing. Yeah, go.
Oh, cool, right. Oh, wow, okay,
Yeah,
so I threw it to
back
you,
to you.
back, okay, good.
Yeah.
We got this going good, right. Corki, Victor, they both have really big item spikes they want to back for in the early game. You do have the build, the most prominent Corki build has been Mana into Triforce, no longer just going towards the Triforce into Rapid Fire into Infinity Edge. It scales up a little bit later into the game, but Victor does that anyway. Both these mid laners looking to have an uninteractive laning phase and then try and reach those 2-3 item team fights. And it looks like we're setting up for that again because we've got Ornn, we have Tarek, we've got Nunu. Urgot is also a pretty good front-to-back team fighter alongside the Volibear too.
Not that much damage coming out for PWE. It's only the Corki and the Caitlyn that are the main damage sources. Of course, the Nunu can be a little bit more flexible, but with his build path to try and get some damage in. But it's going to be up to Buffu and Flatboys to try and dish out the damage.
No,
of course, Tarek, always nice to have when you have those types of team comps.
I'm a pretty big fan of going for Runic Echoes into something like Dead Man's Play on Nunu Jungle. I think it's all Runic Echoes into Protobell or something like that, right? You have different options you can go for, which can make you very powerful at the 1-2 item spikes, even though the jungle items are big spikes for any champion, but Nunu has a pretty good play pattern around those kind of items. Sona's been locked in again. This time it is versus a melee support. It's still the Caitlyn, which can have some kill threat. If you end up Flash Dazzle into Trap, still a similar kind of problem for that Soda. But you can at least poke out before that happens. And remember what we were talking about last laning phase. Oh, we didn't see so many of these incremental health trades, and the HP advantage wasn't there for the Caitlyn and the Morgana. We have to see that again this time, and hopefully, or rather, we might see that again this time from Ashe and Sona going that way.
I don't expect to see that many CC chains in the bot lane for PWE, as the Tarek, it leaves a lot more room for error. He has a less of a stun timer next to the Morgana route, which means that Caitlyn doesn't have as much time to walk up and trap underneath him and for the trap to arm. So
that's a very good point,
Buffu, he did show us that he's not. He does follow up on some of the CC abilities, but not enough to really warrant that you absolutely win laning phase, which is usually what you want to see when you play Caitlyn Morgana. So hopefully there's a little bit of a change of pace. Hopefully he gets slapped about a little bit by his support. And of course, the Tarek also gives them a little bit more sustain into Ashe Sona. You definitely want that, as they're going to be trying to poke you down a little bit. So
you also have a
hopefully
relic shield there too.
Yep.
Which is kind of nice.
So it's going to be a kind of a trade heavy bot lane.
I think
matchup wise.
When you have Caitlyn, you're always going to trade anyway, because you always have that ability to get those extra auto attacks in, because your auto attack range is so much higher than other AD carries. Ashe is pretty decent into Caitlyn because your volley outranges her autos, and again, that's playing around the ranges. But then when you have a melee support versus double ranged bot lane, you're always going to have chip damage being registered, because when you walk up to get relic shield stacks, when you walk up to trade, the Ashe and the Sona try and put damage onto you, try and get their distance there so the dazzle doesn't land, and things go all over the shop. I'm interested to see how the team fights work out from Prime Whatever, because Tarek shielding the Corki to dive forward, get into that auto attack range, try and shut down the Ashe and the Victor, because if you get to that 2-item, 3-item spike, Corki can shred through this team. I need to see how Flash teams up with the rest of his team members to make these team fights worth picking this Tarek for.
Yeah, based on team comp alone, of course I can't say for sure, as this is Div 3. I can see a lot of fights happening in the bot lane. Just looking at the bot lane matchups right now, they have a lot of gank setup. The Tarek with the Nunu allows for a snowball into a Tarek E, which is a CC chain, into Caitlyn. And of course, Crescendo with the Ashe, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, into a Volibear, running you down. That's a lot of gank setup as well. And we also have the Corki package, which means that there's probably going to be 3-4 people bot lane most of the time. And on top of that, these top laners usually go TP. So I can expect to see a lot, especially around Drake. It's going to be very messy.
Yeah. Yeah, and last game we saw that top lane were both top lanes and both teams were happy to leave their top lanes on an island. You know, it is the meme, the top lane island. Sometimes it is just easier to let them do their own thing and focus on other areas of the map, particularly if you're more comfortable around playing that as a team. And at this level of play, there is a lot to be said about playing what you are used to and playing in a style that you are used to. Are you used to playing front-to-back team fights with a dominant bot lane because you focused on them with ganks and stuff? Just go towards that. It's better for you to do something that you're practiced with rather than what is just slightly more optimal in these games.
I definitely think that it's gonna be quite a bout, as both these teams do have a lot of engage. So front to back might not exactly be the most worthwhile option. Of course, you do have quite a few tanks on the side of PWE, so that might be a little better for them. But it's just gonna be who engages first. Of Ornn ulti, it's very hard to re-engage with Ornn ulti, as you do need that second dash. So hopefully we do get to see some long range ultis from Ollie. But Volibear, Urgot, all that CC that they have for Deja Vu can initiate a re-engage. So it's gonna be quite a game
gonna
to
be messy.
cast. It's
Yeah.
gonna be messy.
Look forward to that. I do think one of my favorite things about Ornn is when he's used as counter engage. If you dive in with a Volibear and the Urgot's coming for a flank or something like that, you dive in too deeply and then the Ornn ult comes on top of you. You've already used quite a lot to get into the fight, and then you get knocked up with a brittle knockup, which lasts for so long, you lose percent max HP as well. It just ends up doing a lot of damage and stalling the fight out long enough that your carries get to wail on the front line. If Ollie isn't the primary engage, and he kind of is set up to be, and he more plays as counter engage because Deja Vu have done what they did last game and just dive into the enemy team and try and kill the carries, I think that this Ornn is set up to succeed. Question is, Mega Balls did a very good job of doing that in the last game in terms of diving in and killing the carries. Who's going to come out tops? Ornn or Volibear? It's a story in the lore, it's a story on the Rift today.
It's also going to be up to Ollie to position himself that he is able to land
in
those
position
ultis
to do
without
that.
getting CC'd. Anything to add with the rune choices for the mid laners? Possibly.
Let's have a look. I mean, we talked about Syndra potentially wanting something like a phase rush last game into the Volibear and stuff like the fleet footwork on the Caitlyn, now being picked up here as well. I think that the phase rush versus Corki is fine because Corki likes longer trades. So the phase rush just allows you to disengage from that. You have your your Q auto reset into your E. You proc that very quickly, get a quick burst, have the shield on top of you as well, and you run the heck out of there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Of course, Fleet is the mostly used keystone on Corki. You do sometimes see Halo Blades for those a little bit quicker trades, but like you said, Victor does like that extreme burst and then runs away. So Fleet gonna be a little bit better for some mid game sustain. Of course, early game, it's basically fucking worthless.
I mean, both of these champions, they don't really need extra damage from runes. We used to see Thunderlords back in the day on Victor when he could go for those very early kills in lane. He was a very strong laning champion at that point. But just in terms of the utility you get from these runes, we talked about Fleet Foot. Yeah, it's particularly on a ranged champion too. If you're hitting minions, it doesn't do anything in the late game. If you hit champions, it gives you, 200 HP or whatever in the late game. And the extra move speed does not go amiss when you're trying to run away from an Urgot on a Volibear on your face or trying to disengage from a Victor or whatever. It's not the highest value thing ever though. Phase Rush though does scale pretty well into the game though. Have to see if Van Offel can kite around in the late game.
Both bot laners also opting in for defensive summoner spell choices with Exhaust Heal for the 80 grand support for Deja Vu. And then we also have the Cleanse again for Bafu and the Heal for the Tart. Yes.
Alright, we all
Cool
10?
stuff. Yes, we are at 10. Count us in.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, and remember, don't press the big plus button this time. You
it's
know, like
so juicy.
I know, but we talked about time travel. This is the problem. We need to contain our power. We need to it's like with great power comes great responsibilities and also a great deal of fun too, but we're going to talk about that. Anyway, we're on to the Rift.
Onto the Rift, and we do see that it might just be some sort of invade for Deja Vu, or this could be a extremely interesting stack into the bush. Nothing so far. They're just looking for vision.
Okay.
Tarek has opted in for the Guardian. Guardian has seen a few. Oh, Urgot.
Just some love taps. Yeah, shoot him with a shotgun knee.
I did think that he might start E there to try and look for something, but that's just my little play-by-play mind on this action.
Wow, Urgot, top lane, E, level 1, that is the new hotness.
Well, Victor was there too. So hopefully they know that the red buff is warded. Not much. I mean, it's Division 3. They might track him the first minute or so, but it shouldn't be that.
There is a ward into the jungle entrance in bot side river from Deja Vu Academy. That's Lucas Bang also just doing his emotes on the Urgot. I was thinking, wow, who's he shooting at right now? He's shooting at the sky. That's what he's doing, Alex. Okay, right. Tracked jungle start once again. Prime whatever, no web Mega Balls will start his buff, but last time it didn't stop that Volibear getting the flash out of their mid laner very early into the game.
That ward that you spoke of for Deja Vu around that jungle entrance, I think that's going to be rather important, especially into the mid game later when Corki starts getting his packages, might be looking for bot lane roams. As I said, bot lane is probably going to be extremely volatile this game. Nunu also ramping up his snowball. So Pixel Brush or the jungle entrance for Deja Vu is going to be crucial to have.
I think the jungler is going to be very volatile.
Huh? Okay. I walked right into that. I walked right into that.
Yes, you did. Okay, right. Back to more important things.
Back to more important things. Tarek has Guardian.
Yeah, Tarek has Guardian.
I was thinking of a TFT pun, but I lost it.
Oh god.
Just like all my TFT games.
Yeah, I know that feel. God, it's such a frustrating game when you're not good. Games are very frustrating when you're not good at them. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Guardian Tarek. Yes, he has heal. There's a
Guardian
Tarek.
It got nerfed.
Oh, Dazzle. Oh, wasn't in range for the trap.
Oh, Bafu walking up for a very bad trade. He wasn't in range for the trap, but it leads him to that Sona and the Ashe just double team him. And he takes quite a bit of damage. That is a worthwhile trade.
This is something you were talking about. It is not the same CC duration as the Morgana binding. You walk up for a Dazzle. If you are not immediately in range, quite easy to not be in position to place down that trap for that headshot trade. What that means is the Bafu, once again, is chunked out early, and this Ashe Sona have the advantage in early lane.
Sona also empowers that auto attack, so that's just going to be a quick trade that you are immediately going to lose if you don't follow up CC. That is part of the reason she is very squishy. She brings a lot to the team, especially into certain matchups in the early game. Mid lane, top lane, they're kind of just doing their stuff. Mid lane does get ganked, but they don't have to burn anything. Top lane's just trading their butts off. It does look like they might be looking for something here.
Disdain does get blocked out by the Bellows Breath. You are unstoppable during that W animation, but the Purge...
bot lane.
Oh, gank the bot lane.
Nunu coming in as well, and we do see that the Tarek does not have Dazzle up, but the Ashe does flash in to try and get to the Caitlyn, but she does flash and use the cleanse to get away. Both bot laners extremely low, but the heal is popped to try and keep Tarek alive while the Sona comes back in to try and get the kill. The exhaust is dropped, but nobody has died just yet. All the summoners burned for both bot laners, and it does seem that PWE are just absolutely chunked from that.
Well, Deja Vu Academy, congrats on your 2v3 victory in that bot lane. That being said, they might be lulled into a false sense of security because Nunu's still on the bot side of the map. Might just consume and come back down as that bot lane. No summoners for either bot lane now. All 8 of them between the two teams were traded back and forth. I think there were 2 really important things there. Nunu forced the flash out of Sona, but then immediately continued on that track. They then split their damage, unfortunately, which meant they didn't have enough concentrated firepower to take down either member of this bot lane from Deja Vu Academy. And what that meant is that they managed to sustain through that huge and get that huge value that Sona brings with each of those auto attacks and the movement speed and the healing that she brings to turn around that trade.
Does seem that Byron has also lent his handle to Z-Man as he just flashed in to try and get that Caitlyn. But she does use the cleanse and the flash to try and get away from that slow, and in the end does survive. So we are seeing that the mid lane, something's happening mid lane. Gravity Field is dropped to try and get the stun, and he used Phase Rush to get away, but the flash is burned by Nunu to try and get the root, and it isn't enough as Victor flashes over the wall right into the loving embrace of his teddy bear.
Both junglers once again being very active on the map very early into the game, even in farm, but the Nunu this time is getting probably the better end of the ganks thus far. Mega Balls did find an early route into mid lane, only got a chunk, didn't get the flash this time though. This time it's Unstoppable Nova that gets the flash out of an awful, but it will cost them the Dragon because he went to the other side of the map, and Volibear snatches up that scaling offensive stats for his team.
The next Drake will also be an Ocean Drake, which leaves us that it's going to be either a Mountain or a Cloud Rift. Of course, Mountain Drake on a Ornn, or Mountain Soul, excuse me, on an Ornn, is that's going to be interesting. That's going to be not very fun.
It
is extremely valuable.
Because for those of you that don't know, so Ornn has several passives. He gets to build you items. He gets to construct items while in lane. But he also gets... I know, right? It's like, you think you're a fan of League of Legends? Tell me Senna's passive.
Tell me Samira's passive, the new champ.
It's just Devil May Cry, right? So that's one? Yeah?
Cool.
Yeah,
Right,
I got it. Nice. Oh, lovely.
Fighting game.
It's just like, yeah, can you tell me everything on that champion? Wow.
Oh, you
no,
like
I
fighting
cannot.
games? Name every fighting game move.
Oh man, you know I never really okay, this is an interesting question. Do you think do you classify Smash as a fighting game? I know that people who play Smash sometimes say it is
Yes.
not. However, many people say that
Absolutely.
it is.
What else would it be?
That's a very Smash would be Smash. That's a foolish question, you know.
Smash
Anyway,
is
right.
its own genre. Okay, sure.
Yeah, there you go. Ah, that's lovely.
I can say Metroidvanias are their own genre because they're not exactly platforms, but like
Ooh, big trade bot lane. Owie.
good trade bot lane. That is the trap that usually is put up in that bush, but Sona doesn't care. Ooh, that is.
I know that is a lot. Okay, if you hit someone, if you hit the first target with your Caitlyn Q, it does more damage than the subsequent targets. That's why Soda's sat at like 100 HP right now. Very, very unsafe place to be.
You do not expect it, as usually Caitlyn's trying to get that extra little damage after maybe an auto trade with that Q through the minion wave, but never underestimate it. That's why lethality Caitlyn can sometimes work. Of course, X FSN Saber with the Dark Harvest Caitlyn, always in my soul.
That's the
That
it's the ARAM Caitlyn. I have seen that far
Exactly.
too many times at this point. The thing is, well, actually, you know, speaking of that, getting slightly less memey about it, that's why Stormrazor, Infedge, Essence Reaver, the really high AD but still crit AD carry build for Caitlyn has been so popular. It allows you to have that playstyle of, hey, I can do this big poke combo while still hitting like a truck with your auto attacks.
Definitely. Stormrazor also synergizes really well with the rest of the team. Right now, you want Nunu, very fast. Tark needs to get in range. Of course, Ornn has his long range, and Corki has his package, but that 99% slow sets up a lot for what Caitlyn wants. And with Ashe already having slows on her auto attacks, it kind of just evens the playing field a little bit. So hopefully we do see that coming out for her.
Well, if you have a 3-item spike, Fire Cannon, Infedge, and Stormrazor, that increased range from the Energized proc from the Fire Cannon, if Sona steps up out of position, like she did last game, you get that Stormrazor proc, it makes it so much easier to catch people out of position and land the extra instance of damage, the next instance of CC onto that target, which can be very, very important. Never mind the defensive aspect of it, where you slow down one of these diving champions in the Volibear and the Urgot trying to get onto your backline.
Definitely that slow is going to be hopefully utilized. I do want to talk about that bot lane. They're sort of just constantly pushing them in. They're just trying to get as much poke damage as they can. Tark not really being able to do much as a support. In the top lane, it does look like they pick up the Rift Herald. Mini skirmish, doesn't look like it's going to amount to anything. Pop that blast cone and he's out.
Oh, ow.
Uh-oh. Oh, it was the bot lane. Z-Man has to use Flash. Exhaust is still up if they try and look for a dive. Tark does have his ulti. Oh, mid lane might die as well. The Victor are. Oh my god, and then in the top lane as well. Lucas does try and pick up another kill onto the Nunu, but first blood is picked up for the Victor as Corki was a bit out of position. And Herald has also just been picked up by Volley, so that's going to be a lot of moolah to the side of Deja Vu.
Yeah. There's a huge amount to talk about right there. Corki dies, doesn't have teleport. There's will be a lot of plates going down in the mid lane. Of course, he secured that just as Nunu was a little too late to get a consume smite off. They're going to get themselves 2 plates at the very least here. Going to get the 3rd one just now. They didn't choose to chunk down the tower first, rather using it early to secure the plates, get Victor back. And actually, because they went for that, they did manage to save a bit of time and allow Victor a better reset. It means that for this next back, Victor is going to pick up his 2nd Hex core. He has enough gold for that, and he's going to be very, very powerful in this game. Speaking of other item completions, Manamune for the Corki. Didn't help him out in that last fight, though, because of course he didn't have it. Had to flash away from the Volibear. Was not enough to get himself away from the Chaos Storm afterwards.
That 3v3 is not something you really want to take right now as PWE until you have those usually 2 item spikes. Ornn, once he gets his 2 upgraded items, is extremely powerful as well. You don't really have that much damage until you get the damage onto Corki as well. Bot lane, we have that the Drake is started. This will be the Ocean Drake. And it does look like a Prime Whatever have started it.
Victor is looking, but doesn't actually manage to get there in time. 4-man group.
TP is up for both top laners. But it doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything. Nunu fails into the wall. And they're just going to be heading back, I think.
Yeah.
That's the normal day today.
So Corki didn't have package, that's an important thing. We didn't hear that giant siren go off across the map. And bot lane didn't find anything onto, well, the Nunu, of course, didn't find anything onto the bot lane of Deja Vu Academy. So, we are left with a Mountain Rift. We talked about how that's very valuable for the likes of Ornn. He has extra value. Yeah, I think he gets extra 10% resists from items in inventory anyway. Then you have the Mountain Rift. And any dragon starting to buff that up as well. It means that the amount of resist you can get on that champion is so high. You also have a tank in the jungle in the Nunu, and your Taric has some stats as well. So particularly for Prime whatever, a lot of value coming out of this dragon, this Rift, and all that other stuff. Whereas on the other side, I mean, there are still 2 tanky-ish members on those teams. You have the Volibear and the Urgot, which will build some. It's just not quite as much insane value as an Ornn.
Mega Ball's also taking his little time, doing a little PWE to get his mind off things. He hasn't really been ganking as much since that mid lane kill. He's been trying to get some objectives. Of course, the first Rift Herald picked up by Deja Vu, but right now, he's sort of just clearing. I do want to see him try and do something bot lane, as Bafu and Flash on Kate and Taric have been pushing up quite a bit without any contention. So hopefully, we do see some more fights over the bot lane, as both Drakes have been rather uncontested so far.
Yeah, they have. And of course, the closest thing we had to contest was that Herald, where Prime whatever were just not in position to get there quite quick enough. And that's one thing which is a big part of contesting. You need to know it's happening. You need to reset and ward appropriately so that your approach is actually in a timely fashion where you can find an angle into the fight. Not happened for either team right just yet, but we do have a lot of this game still yet to go. But it's going to be a little while until the next objective spawns. We've got next to 3 minutes on the next dragon and 2 minutes on the next herald. Oh, Sona almost choosing the dangerous way back to lane, but there was a Taric in that brush. It looks
She
like
felt
gonna
it.
take
It's
the
her
safe
sixth
way now.
sense.
That was, yeah,
Psyop
the
Sona
Spidey
skin,
senses.
that's why it's coming out, you know. Sona players just have another sixth sense. Oh, big trade in the bot lane, but it doesn't look like the trap will come out. A little bit early. Bafu sort of just towering, but oh, Sona. Oh my god! No! Z-Man! Z-Man
there were
still with
so
the
many
exhaust
things you
up
could
as
do
well.
there. You have the exhaust, you can body block, you can use the Ash ult to cancel out the animation and try and run away. None of the above happens. The heal comes out of Sona, still goes down, and a kill in one of the just most unfortunate fashions goes over to Prime whatever.
Absolute mechanical misplay, and PWE might be able to turn that into something, as a Caitlyn with a kill early game means extra AD, and extra AD on a Caitlyn means that Sona is not going to have a grand old time.
Yeah,
So I was gonna say before everything broke out that mid lane was really the only thing happening, and Victor, of course, picking up that kill on the first game, first blood. Corki, how do you think that he needs to play this matchup to try and be in contention for the mid game?
You don't really trade in a 1v1 against a control mage as a Corki. It is about safely farming wave clearing. It's why the meme of Corki is here was such a thing. It's just very non-interactive. You don't really gain anything by trading heavily. You just want to get up to 2-3 items and then start turning into the larger team fights. Maybe use your first packages in some way. I think that Corki, I'm trying to see if he does actually have package available right now. He does not. Actually, we'll be waiting for that.
30 seconds
we need to see... Yeah, we need to see Nunu.
Oh, top lane dive.
Junglers.
The Volibear ulti does come in, which means that the Ohm Wrecker passive is applied, and the Urgot ulti means that he will just absolutely devour. Nunu does get feared, but it does look like he's going to try and get him a root under tower. The ulti is popped to try and get some shield, but the Corki is there to clean it up. He does pick up a kill on the Urgot, and the Volibear is trying to run away. Nunu is a bit too low to try and do anything, but Corki might just try and chase this. Nunu is just doing his thing. Corki's trying to chase. The W comes out to try and get closer, but Sir Mega Balls is just going to walk away. Rather unfortunate, but it is 1-for-1 for both teams.
It's a good dive using the Volibear ult to turn off the tower, the pseudo Ohm Wrecker, and then of course the Fear Beyond Death comes out of Urgot. Very good into these tank matchups because it is on that percent HP and ends up taking down the Ornn before he can pull out his Call of the Forge God and turn things around. Nunu, we were talking about the counter ganking in game 1. The extra movement speed you get from the biggest snowball ever means that you can get to the play much quicker. And Corki was also on the roam, turn into a numbers advantage after the tower had turned back on. Urgot goes down, and then Mega Ball somehow manages to wheedle his way out of that situation after Corki does not manage to close the distance onto him.
Corki doesn't exactly have the most damage at this stage of the game. That just shows that dive. The only damage that was happening there was the tower. Urgot and Volibear, they're a bit tanky in their own right, but they're still able to produce quite a bit of damage. Ornn, Nunu, and Corki with only one item. I mean, Nunu's building tank. There's nothing to do there. So that skirmish is something that definitely Deja Vu wants to take. So I think in the end, that's actually PWE favored.
I think it probably is, because you have got gold back onto your Corki, and it evens up that mid lane. We talked about first blood over to Victor. That's going to be quite important. He gets up to his perfect hex core, which he has right now, and tier 2 boots. And Corki is no slouch on the scaling front either. They're very much like-for-like champions, and speaking of that, Victor's being aggressed on the mid lane.
Packages drop to try and get some amount of damage onto the Corki, but he flashes way into it, and he does get whittled away. That package damage is absolutely massive. The flash is burnt by Plat Police to try and secure it. Urgot wasn't there in time. He was just trying to take Rift Herald, and meanwhile, his mid laner just dies right in front of his eyes. Poor soul.
So, you asked me what should Corki do in this matchup, and I said, yeah, you don't really do 1v1s. You didn't ask me about the junglers and what they wanted to do against these champions, though. Volibear can get on top of Corki. Nunu can get on top of the Victor. They do team up in a 2v1 and make sure that actually Corki is coming out now ahead in this matchup and getting some free alone time with this tower. Not sure he's going to take it down with this wave, but it's still some signs of life in the mid lane for Prime Whatever.
Ashe does not have the art to try and get any long range engage, but the Sona does, but it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. TP is just burned. To try and stop the tower, I guess.
Oh, I think Vanopha wanted to get back into lane anyway. Oh, trap. Oh, there's so much damage!
Oh my god, I looked away for 1 second. Okay, yep, that's Sona.
Blink and you'll miss it. It's a sad, sad tune Sona will be playing right the way through the gray screen timer. Goes down again, and Jazza, this is not the first time we've seen this. Happened a couple of times in game 1, happening now again game 2. That one was very unfortunate once again.
As we thought from the first game, we thought that the Sona was a comfort pick, but he isn't really showing it. VL comfort picks are usually the best choice for most for most drafts in these lower divisions, but he's just getting caught out quite a bit.
Yeah, he is, and we thought it would happen against the Morgana. It did happen once or twice towards the late game, but it's against the Taric and the Caitlyn in the hands of Bufu once again. That is really punishing the Sona. And this is because Sona's trying to get vision, trying to walk away from her carries, but Sona's really not good in isolation. If you end up getting exposed on your own, things go very, very badly, very, very quickly. Z-Man and Jazza, though, walking up towards Nunu, he just consumes and walks away.
Taric doing his best to try and clear all the vision that he can. I also want to talk about this objective contention a little bit. We have seen that Deja Vu, of course they picked up the first Drake, but they've actually left the other two ones alone, because they've been picking up the Rift Herald. But as we do see now that it is a Mountain Soul, and PWE, they're quite happy to try and pick up those first 2 Drakes. They might have up to 3 Mountain Drakes, and on an Orin and a Nunu.
It's huge, it's huge. Yeah.
That's scary. That is, you do not want to be doing that right now in Deja Vu. You need to start contesting these Drakes.
Yeah, even just having 1 Mountain Dragon onto an Ornn that is going to hit those Masterwork items relatively soon, next level, of course. Ornn is going to get the extra stats from the upgraded item, going to have the extra stats from his passive, which means he gets more resist from items, and then having the extra resist from the Mountain Dragon, he will be quite hard to deal with even though you do have quite high damage members of the Ashe and the Victor. We're going to have to see something like a Lord Dominates Regards or a Void Staff coming out of an Offal at some point. If you do end up staying in the fight too long, the Ornn's still going to be relatively troubled in these fights because he is the primary frontline against some quite high damage members, and of course the Urgot is no slouch in that regard either. It's still good news for Prime Whatever to pick up that objective. Look how little damage that did. Look at it.
That's Oh, Sona is going to get picked off. The trap does miss, and the exhaust is popped, but she dies anyways, and the Nunu is there to try and stop her as well. Flash is used for some reason, even though Nunu was perfectly situated to try and get the root either way. And both the Deja Vu bot laners die, and the mid lane will be picked up. Of course, Deja Vu also used the Herald in the bot lane. Gonna whittle away that tier 2 a little bit, but in the end, that's 2 towers down and 2 bot laners down as well.
And the thing for Deja Vu Academy is that when these plays were happening last game, we saw them immediately re-engage with something like the Volibear. I mean, that even though the pick came through, because a lot of cooldowns were not available for Prime Whatever, they turned around the fight with the Volibear diving into the fight. He wasn't in position this time, he was in bot lane.
Uh-oh, top lane.
Oh, top lane is fighting, yeah.
Volley baiting the fight in, and Urgot actually goes for it, but 4 people are up there. Baron is spawning, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing much. They're going to be, of course, trying to
resetting for Dragon.
Mountain. Yeah, they're resetting for Dragon. The Mountain Soul is all they have their eye on right now. But it does look like the Deja Vu have come to their senses. They're actually going to start contesting this one. Hopefully we see some utilization of the Ashe era into the Crescendum here to maybe get a pick for some Overzealous, but this has been a rather slow game until now. It's we have seen some roams, some picks, but not as much as I expected from these team comps.
But the thing is, now you have to contest this against a huge amount of gold being put in, and of course the package.
And the package comes in. The TP is also picked up by the Urgot. He's coming in with his ulti while Ornn does not have anything. Bafu does pick up the Sona, who is 0-4 now. And the package would away Victor, who's at 1 HP. Z-Man is sitting in the back autoing, but he's out of position now too because everybody's falling like dominoes. Urgot being able to do absolutely nothing even though he TP'd in. And Nunu does flash in to try and pick up the kill, but it might just be his demise. The gravity field does stun him, which cancels the ulti, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do much with it. The Urgot ulti was also used, but he won't be able to pull somebody into his loving embrace either.
And this is the problem. You choose to contest, but it feels like the game is just slipped away at that point. Second Mountain Dragon compounds the issues of Deja Vu Academy against Prime Whatever. Now they have to sit against a team on Soul Point with a very, very good scaling team fight comp with that. Victor not really doing enough in the last fight, ended up sitting on the package, getting taken down to just the lowest amount of HP, and couldn't turn around that fight.
This Corki is showing up absolutely massive right now. Those 4 seconds were absolutely crucial in the beginning of the fight when the Urgot was CPing. That 4v5 just absolutely ripped through Deja Vu. Ornn didn't even have ulti. Imagine what would have happened then. They tried to do some sort of front to back. We saw Z-Man and Victor were kind of just trying to auto the way down, but they didn't even realize that their front line was gone. There was nothing, and then they just died. And Urgot kind of just there, mourning his friends. Didn't really get to do much. He used some abilities, but it does look like that Deja Vu are gonna, Prime whatever are going to be starting this Baron up. I mean, they have the gold for it, and
Ashley
they have
Sona
the
just showed bot. They have as Nunu for the secure, and a lot of damage between the Caitlyn and the Corki.
Ash ulti is used to try and stun onto the Caitlyn, but there's no follow-up whatsoever. Kind of a waste of a cooldown right there, because I don't think they're actually going to continue this Baron, because now everybody's here. But I actually do think that Prime whatever can win this, as they do have the Ornn ulti. Just call in the Ornn horn.
I absolutely agree. You do have
Nunu
a lot of
is
ultimates
thinking
available
the same
to turn
thing.
off.
Oh, the CC is cancelled by Urgot E. Well timed by Lucas there, and it does look like they're just gonna stop him from taking Baron. I think that's worth for Deja Vu there, but not very well played by Z-Man and Jazz showing in the bot lane there when obviously no one was on the map.
Well, in fairness, it was very decisive by Prime whatever to immediately start up the Baron, but they do not finish off quick enough. It's too early into the game, even with your 2 items on 2 AD carries, to finish that off by the time they could roam up. They do also commit the teleport from Plat Police on the Corki to get into that fight. So if anything, it's kind of more used by Prime whatever for that attempt, but it's not really enough to be called a huge advantage.
That 2.5 gold lead is actually showing up quite a bit because of these item spikes. You're like, oh, 2.5. They still have a chance in this fight, but this Corki damage.
We're going to have more Ornn items coming through as well. If you one more level onto Ornn, you've got 2 Ornn items for the team. It's probably going to be the Trinity Fusion coming out of Corki, and then also the Molten Edge for the Caitlyn. That's just so much gold.
Oh, Sona might be out of position. The Taric does follow up with the CC and the Ace in the hole to try and get some damage in, but it is blocked by the Volley Bear. The Taric ulti is used to try and save Nunu, but he is ulted by the Urgot, who will just pull him in, and that might be, if that's a 3-man fear.
That's huge.
And that's going to be a huge fear. Corki is picked off by the Volley Bear, Ornn trying to 1v1 the AD carry, and does fall in the end. Ashe is now dead. But so is Taric as well. Bafu gets out alive, but overzealous.
Go do Baron. Go do Baron. There's 2 people. There's 3
chase
people
the
dead.
Ornn.
Jungler is dead. No, you're going to chase the Ornn. Instead, try and go for mid lane. That was the time. But the fight goes hugely in the favor of Deja Vu Academy. Dove too deeply to Prime whatever. Urgot ult comes through, and now it's been compounded in this issue as this mid lane turret might fall as well.
We saw this in game 1 from Unstoppable Nova as well. He's a bit overzealous on the Nunu, ends up being caught out. Lucas being very well positioned there, waiting until he could get that ultimate onto the Taric exactly where it needed to be, and then that 3-man radius on the stun, or the fear, The fear radius on Urgot ulti is always underestimated. It is absolutely massive. You think, oh, it's like probably in his auto attack range. No, it's like double that. It's crazy, and that just allows. Of course, Volley Bear was taken on the trap, so he wasn't there just in time, but they still just steamrolled. Corki, he got CC'd, and in that bit, he did fall down. But PWE are all up again, and they're going to be starting.
Baron's being started.
And Ashe is bot lane again.
Okay, so it looks like it's going down pretty quickly. Ash ult is used. They don't have anything like a Bard ult to delay this. It's probably going to go down.
Corki has
Are they going to be able
package
to
as well.
survive with it? They have package. This is going to be going down. I can't see
Tarek
any way
doesn't
this
have
isn't
ulti,
stolen.
but neither does
This is
Orange.
good.
This is going to be an interesting engage, but the package is used to try and zone them off a little bit. Nobody takes that much damage, but the blue team does
Fear.
secure the Baron. Urgot with the huge Fear takes down 2. Sona gets the kill onto the Nunu. The Orange tries to do it as much as he can, but the Victor picks him up in the end. And, oh my god, Prime whatever, you just have a Baron curse, my friends.
And the thing is, sure, you end up getting the Baron, but that's almost all of the shutdowns on your team gone now. It's only the Caitlyn who's left unkilled this game. And there's also 20 seconds before the Dragon was going to spawn. That was meant to be your victory lap. The Mountain Soul coming through and giving you the extra shield and resist for your team. Now it's only 10 seconds till that spawns. If Deja Vu Academy
Oh my
to back
God!
off for that... Oh my word, I was wondering if there was going to be another
extremely
misstep.
low from that Caitlyn damage, and that's just to show. Of course, he did build a Zeal item, but I mean, that is some mighty fine damage. But
Why
I
on
think
Deja Vu
that-
Academy? Why didn't they rush straight towards the Baron? They've just been greeding for mid lane the last 2 fights. They need to secure this very quickly. Now, if this is stolen, it is huge.
Oh, okay, no. Ash doesn't get it.
54 HP. Holy crap.
No smite was used, as far as I can tell. But I think that Prime whatever could have actually traded the Baron there for that
Absolutely could have
Dragon
done.
Soul.
They
I think that would have been
absolutely
worth.
could have done. It wouldn't have mattered if the Baron went over to Deja Vu Academy. Now they have 2 members still alive with that Baron buff. It means they can still siege with those minions through that mid lane, and it will be a turret going over to them either way. So now we have resets from both teams come through. Not too much gold in the inventory of either team. We are left now with a relatively even gold stake game. But I don't know, advantage, I would have said would be to Prime whatever, but now with those 2 last fights really going against them, I'm not so sure.
I think all Prime whatever need to do right now, of course they have major cooldowns still up with the Ornn ulti. They just need flank wards, and they just need to try and open up the map as much as they can. I think, especially with the Nunu, as I said last game, vision control is extremely important. As a Nunu coming in at 3000 HP, or movement speed, excuse me, is something to be afraid of, but so is Volibear. So I think vision control, especially when the game has evened out, is going to be very important for these next couple of fights.
Can I also say, really like Mega Ball's build this game compared to his last game. The times I've cast his Volibear before, he does rush the Deadlands. I much prefer this kind of build. You have a Locket, so your team is benefited from that. It means that maybe the Ashe and the Sona survive the next fight. Maybe it means that they don't have to take maybe they only take 90% of their HP instead of 100% because that extra shield comes through from that Locket of the Iron Solari. And of course, the Righteous Glory we saw last game gives you a lot of extra gap closing capability. Maybe allows you to kill that Caitlyn for the first time. And if the Caitlyn does die early into a fight, that could spell the doom of Prime whatever, even though they were in such a dominant position this game, and still have a lot of ability to win this.
That is one aggressive teddy bear, but he's also here for his team. That Locket, he's here to shield them from anything that might harm them. But most of the gold lead is actually sitting on Bafu on the Caitlyn right now over his enemy laner. Victor has actually done quite well to try and get back into the game. He's only about 1k down versus the Corki now, who hasn't really been showing up in these last 2 fights. He's either been picked off or he had to use package and then he was just completely out of the fight. And now, the Ashe Arrow is used on the Bafu, who does use the cleanse though, but the the Volibear ultimate does make the tower go off, and the Urgot ultimate is also used. Ashe is 1v1ing the Corki on the sideline, but doesn't do enough damage to kill him. The Ornn ulti does pick in, and that's a lot of damage. Ace in the hole is used, but nobody is picked off either. Nobody's dead yet, but Corki's out of position! Lucas comes in with the disdain, which actually makes him die. Bafu comes in, tries to make the flash play, but isn't enough to kill Lucas either. And that's just... Was that just 1 kill from that?
It's literally just the 1 kill. We saw the cleanse coming out from the Caitlyn very, very importantly, because the flash disdain from Urgot would have killed that carry in her tracks. Still deathless is Bafu compared to the last game, and we have ourselves a really, really close late game team fighting fiesta. As you're right, it was just Plat Police falling down to the second disdain of the fight coming out of Lucas. He flashes in, trying to kill the Urgot, but is CC'd in place. The extra damage comes through from the Conqueror, and the Death Stance keeping Lucas alive as well. And it means that once again, things are left relatively even.
This is a mix of a lot of different regions in Pro, but Jesus Christ.
We
I had to cough during the fight, but
as I say, they literally took your breath away.
Yeah, I had to cough a little bit during the fight because there was so much going on. But Plat Police stand out of the fight, completely out of position.
Yeah.
right
yeah.
in front of Lou in melee range.
Yeah,
And-
he tried to flash in for, we're talking about, hey, use the Terracle, flash in. Well, not flash in, but try and gap close, get the extra autos down. Yeah, buddy, don't do that when you're not invulnerable, because there's a lot of damage coming your way as well. So it's a mix of a lot of different regions. We call it the VLPL, and it looks like there's a catch onto Mega
Oliver is
Balls.
picked out. The chain CC is taken out with the Caitlyn, but the ace in the hole might catch him up.
No!
Oh, again for the
Not
second time in
again!
a row. And it does look like they're able to get away with their Death Burst strat. They've been trying that for 2 games now, and it finally works off into Mega Balls, who, without that Gargoyles, you said you liked his build, but he would have survived if he had Gargoyles. But he gets picked off anyways.
Doubt. I wonder about that. Either
Drake
way,
and
the
Baron
food-
coming up soon as well.
Yeah, and that's huge because Mega Balls is now not going to be in position to
Oh,
secure
Sona?
the next dragon. Oh, Sona, not again.
Victor? No? A little bit overzealous from Nova there again. Thank God they weren't there to turn it around.
You know what? I actually reckon Victor could have one-shot the Caitlyn there. Had no flash, walked up very, very boldly.
Oh, no.
When you've got this amount of AP onto the Victor, this is quite dangerous. I think now
Ash
that
just
both
showed
these
herself
teams
top.
just showed herself top, there is only 6 seconds for the dragon. Are they just choosing to give over the Mountain Soul? Oh, no,
Oh, and then
not again,
Sona gets picked
Jazza.
off too. Oh, absolute devastation for Deja Vu, who does look like they're going to just trade the soul for the Baron, but this is their first Baron. It isn't as powerful as far as I know. Mega Ball's also going for it. They're not even contesting this soul, but they might actually have time. We do see that 3 members of PWE are moving up while
So
they're
the
just gonna
jungler
finish it.
is still down on the dragon. That means that he won't have a smite to contest this. It looks like it will be a soul for Baron trade. Ace in the hole comes through, and the Ashe arrow has stopped the continued follow-up of Prime whatever trying to get onto that grouped team. Looks like everyone's going to get out in time. They do. The empowered recalls are enough. And now with the extra resist and the shields onto the members of Prime whatever, let's see how the team fights go in the next couple of minutes. Deja Vu Academy with that extra permanent buff available.
But Prime whatever also gained control of the entire topside jungle here, and they might just be looking to make another fight. And as I said before, this is Deja Vu's first Baron, if I recall correctly, which isn't as strong. So
So there's no difference. There's no difference between like the number of Barons you pick up. It's just.
Isn't it the first Baron and the second Baron are different?
No, they are not. They are not different in any way.
Did they
it
used
used
to
to be
be?
the first Elder and the second Elder Dragon were different. They used to have different durations. Not so the case with Barons.
Might just be my boomer brain.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Anyway,
Well, yeah,
do you
boomer
remember when
brain.
it used to give you a regen of mana and HP? Those are the days.
Whew, those are
Oh,
spicy.
well, those are spicy. Either way, not so much regen from the Baron, plenty from the Tarek and the Sona who are getting into this game nice and well into the late game. But Jazza, he's going to have to work on his positioning some more into this game because it's not the... I mean, we said it's not the first time he's been called out. We said that, not for the first time this game either. And now with the amount of damage coming out of Caitlyn, 1,400 damage crits, there's no room for error here.
Ollie also sitting on around 400 armor versus the AD heavy Deja Vu composition. So that is going to be scary. That is not... That's just 2 items.
There is a death cap from Victor, and don't get me wrong, Victor is one of the best tank killing mages in the game. His late game DPS is utterly absurd. However, if you are spending that much time and that many cooldowns on killing Ornn, you probably lost the fight already, because there are 3 to 4 item carries on the side of Prime whatever, which need to be dealt with first.
Oh,
Ash
Asher
comes
coming in.
through.
This is exactly what we wanted to see. They're trying to get the pick here, but it doesn't look like they're able to follow up. The Caitlyn trap does put a lot of damage onto the Volley Bear, and he ults in to try and save some of HP, but it might just go down in the end. The Ornn ulti comes in, but it misses everybody. No re-engage from there. Corky's off to the sideline, but he does W over. Ash is absolutely chunked and does get picked up by the Rocket Bear, the Rocket Barrage. Corky on the sideline trying to flank, but Victor might just be able to do something here as well, as he does have quite a bit of damage. But Corky just 1v2ing, and Nunu is just going to clean it up. Bafu picking up another kill. 3-0 PWE.
You cannot over-engage into an Ornn, and the Terraculk just makes that even worse to deal with as well. They try and get a pick onto the jungler. Doesn't work. It goes invulnerable. The Call of the Forge God comes out, and by that time, Deja Vu are too far stuck into the fight to disengage cleanly. They lose 3 people for their troubles, and now the 5-man unhindered group of Prime whatever will push through the bot lane, even against the Baron buff, and happily take themselves a tower.
It used to be Unstoppable Nova on the Nunu, who's a bit overzealous, but now it looks like Mega Balls. He's just walking straight into them most of the time. And of course, the ulti trying to save himself, but they just have so much CC.
It just
so much
looks a little
damage.
bit like desperation, just a tiny
It
bit.
does,
They
it
see
does.
the opening, and because the game is reached late game, sometimes you just have the blinders on. You see the, it's a bit like the bull seeing red. They just try and go for anything that presents itself and try and mechanically outplay their opponents. But at this point in the game, you are quite a long way behind in combat stats. There are huge amounts of defensive stats for the side of Prime whatever. You have 4 Masterwork items, 2 for Ornn and 2 for the carries put out as well, meaning that you're so hard to fight front to back. You have to kill the carries first, and that is not an easy prospect with this front line being so chunky for Prime whatever. Look, he just does not take damage.
Yeah, some trades out here by the inhibitor tower for PWE, but that fight allowed PWE to sit at a comfortable 3k gold lead. Of course, at 35 minutes, it might not be the biggest thing, but still, that's enough for as much as the power shift has been in this game. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out, but no follow-up CC has been landed. Oh, the Ornn ulti. Oh, and the package with the flank. That is huge. Ashe is out of position with the crescendo trying to save herself, but the Ace in the Hole does pick her up. Ollie is slain, or has slain the Sona, and they're just cleaning it up. Corki picking up 2, Victor being the only surviving mana of Deja Vu. I think this might be game.
I don't see any reason to disagree with you. Victor will try and clear the wave. That might elongate things a little bit.
Flash over by Platpolice to try and pick up the damage, but as long as he isn't CC'd, I might believe he does. And the Ace in the Hole does come in to help. Ooh, the Victor ulti sticking him down a little bit. Ooh, careful there, bud. But he does manage to pick it up. That was the Void Staff coming in strong for the Corki there.
Auto attacks do magic damage, and turns out the extra shred does not go amiss.
Oh,
4
looks
items
like
on
they're
the
going to be
Corki.
going for double inhib.
They're going towards, well, they had the wave in top state. They might even try and go
Triple
for triple inhib. The game goes on. I did not expect that.
6k gold lead sitting for PWE, and you saw what they did with a 3k, even with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, which was a bit used a bit prematurely. The Ornn ulti comes in, and that's just the power of Ornn.
I think this is a mistake. You had Death Times to work with, and you have given Deja Vu Academy a last chance saloon chance to try and end things around an Elder Dragon. That is an objective which can win them the game. It's up in 40 seconds. You haven't managed to reset with your gold yet, and you now have some cooldowns which are now not available. You don't have the Taracle, very importantly.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting fight. This could be Deja Vu's way back into it. Elder Drake is coming up in... Can't see the timer.
Only 20 seconds. Only
20 seconds, and it does seem that they're all going for it. Ornn doesn't have TP, and he's still in base, so he could be a little late to the party. Noon is sitting alone.
I don't understand why Deja Vu Academy are not just rushing it. The only way you win this game now is by getting an Elder Dragon. By allowing Prime whatever first chance to take it down, you've allowed traps to get set up, even though there are 3 in 1 bush, and this is now much, much harder for you to compete.
Here comes Caitlyn's control mage ability coming in with the traps. Oh, Noon is just going to try and engage as Volibear is just sitting off the corner. Oh my god, that's a third of his HP with 1 trap. Caitlyn is doing a lot of damage. She's not even sitting on a Void Staff yet. She has picked up the stopwatch, crucially, for this fight.
You heard it here
first. No, sorry, I meant Lord Dominus. I was thinking of Corki. Urgot kind of out of position here. He does look for something. The Disdain comes out, and that is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. The Fear Beyond Death does come out to try and do anything, but Taric ulti does come in to save Bafu from the backline dive from Mega Balls, which does mean he gets picked off. The Ashe is just sitting whittling around Ollie, but it doesn't matter because of the Mountain Soul. Bafu going in ham. He's just going in 1v2. Urgot can't do anything right now. He does no damage. They're both just so chunked. And the Taric picking up... oh my god! Bafu just cleaning up he's just getting set up constantly, and there it is. Triple kill for Bafu, and that's game. That has to be game. They can't get another info, they can get one more.
It does have to be game. And Bafu playing a mighty good round of golf. All those aces in the hole, leading to a 20 kill participation game with 0 deaths for the Caitlyn. 2 over the 18 whole course. It does mean that we have a 3-game series. Second game goes to Prime whatever. You're gonna have to strap yourselves in for another game. I guess we need to go check that damage graph.
That is quite a damage graph. That is Caitlyn sitting at a comfortable 40k damage, about more than double of his counterpart, the Ashe. Not something you want to see.
Oh, for sure.
Volibear not doing either much.
Yeah, that's Caitlyn with 1,000 damage a minute, and all of that was in pretty big team fights. I feel pretty bad for Deja Vu Academy because, in fact, they did team fight their way pretty well back into this game. We had those 2 back-to-back fights where they found stuff in the mid lane, and maybe they could have gone towards Baron. Maybe they greeded too hard in mid lane. They didn't manage to take all of the advantages which presented themselves, and what that meant was that Prime Whatever clawed their way to an even larger advantage and just beat them with raw stats. They ended up building a very fine team fight composition. Once the Ornn items came in, once the dragons came in, it's very, very hard to stop them in this game, and they cleared it out pretty well.
I thought game 1 had a lot of ups and downs, but Jesus Christ, I think it was more Deja Vu capitalizing on Prime What Evil's mistakes. That got flank when he did pick off the Nunu when he was very low during that mid lane tier 2 fight was definitely a point of contention for when Deja Vu got back into the game, but in the end, PWE just claw their way back into it, as you said.
They do. Yeah, they do. And see if they can claw their way back to a series victory. Remember, they lost game 1. You're going to have to stick around. We have 1 more left in the tank. Go nowhere. We'll be back soon.
and welcome back to Valid's League Split 3, Div 3, Game 3 of this best of 3 between PWE and Deja Vu Academy. I am Alex Lastgamel, joined by the ever so lovely Alex Nymera Halfgood. Welcome back.
And we have reached that point where there are so many threes, I'm starting to wonder how many times we're going to have to reference the Illuminati coming into this. Turns out, Buffu is Illuminati, and we have done away with him. He's been subbed out for I Am a Pretty Flower for the side of Prime Whatever, and another change has come in. We've got a side change. Deja Vu Academy, for the first time this series, are going to be taking up the blue side. And we also have to see how that affects the draft. Might end up meaning that Caitlyn first pick no longer a thing.
Yeah, we might see it finally banned out, as Caitlyn has been open for this entire series, though PWE has had the blue side first pick, of course. Ash has also been banned. The first game, was open the second game, and of course was picked by Deja Vu. So we might see some contention over those, or we might see them both open again.
A whole load of different options available. Just waiting to get into Champions Light for that third game, and once again, Game 2 was relatively even. I was left slightly more frustrated by some of the decision-making that game, particularly when Deja Vu had found themselves a window of opportunity to maybe go towards the Baron. They chose to go mid lane instead. And then, yeah, things just got a little bit awkward in terms of the late-game decision-making end of things. However, that is a very nuanced thing, and certain players will have certain voices in their head just saying, hey, maybe you haven't considered this, maybe you haven't considered this. Either way, we now have ourselves down to a 1-1 scoreline. The winner of this next game will leapfrog the other team in the standings and secure that second place spot within Division 3 behind Horizon Light, as we were saying earlier in the day. Just like the ready checks are coming out, and we're into pick and ban.
I hope to see some a nod to Lucas from Game 1, his Shen being the interesting thing to watch, but it does seem that the normal stuff we've seen throughout the series, the Vladimir, the Hecarim, probably the Evelyn ban coming out, probably a Lulu as well. Hopefully some more interesting bans from some more contested champions such as the Caitlyn, which have been showing up, but now of course Buffu has been traded out for Iron Flower. Personally, I've seen him play a couple times, and he's actually quite good on the Ashe, so this might be interesting if they can secure that.
So have you had a chance to play with any of these guys yourself? I know you said you played with a number of them across your time in some of the Balance League teams.
I've played against Z-Man. He used to be a jungler. Not my favorite guy, but I mean he's nice. He's just trash talked me a little bit. He trash talked me a little bit, so I had to trash talk him back, and that's just
you have to do it. It's the law of the game.
Mr. Shades Brian Vanilla, of course. He's been here quite a long time. Always the fan. I'm always a big fan to watch him and listen to him. His amazing voice and his not so amazing Zillion gameplay when he used to be a mid laner. Like I said, stuff. Flower, seen him play a couple times. Nova, seen him play a couple times. So PWE is actually mostly currently seen Buffu play a lot more, but with their current roster, it's a little more of a question mark.
Well, this is actually my first time casting this particular team as well. I've cast Deja Vu and Deja Vu Academy a fair amount. I mean, I only came into the casting side of things this year. However, I've cast the last split. Managed to cast the finals from Div 3 to, well, the Div 2 finals of Deja Vu as well, where they ended up getting through to that Div 1. So there's a lot of history for their sister team to latch onto as well. Okay, on Ash, but one thing which is completely different. Throwing of a rock, Talia's locked in.
Talia? So, I'm not sure Talia is still a viable jungler.
No.
I have seen her a couple...
Not really.
No, not really. I think I've seen her a couple times support, but that's very niche. I think it's definitely, almost definitely for the mid lane, not exactly a flex pick that you usually see.
You can play it in bot lane. You can play it with Pantheon Talia. However, with the Volibear locked in, you have a point and click stun already. Talia is really, really strong and is in fact balanced around hitting her combo, right? Most of her burst damage comes from that point. If you would lock someone in place with a Pantheon W with a Volibear Q, and now that the Victor's locked in, that is certainly a target to hit with that combo. You can delete people completely 100-0 if you do get ahead in these games.
Is that mid lane matchup something you would like on the side of Talia?
If you'd asked me in Season 5, I would have said yes. Talia's stats are just very, very low.
Oh, this is what I wanted to see!
Yeah.
Kill lane!
I'm gonna say it. It's pretty obvious. If you lock in a Talia, a Pantheon will follow it. This is probably going to be a bot lane duo with. It can be the Pantheon taking farm. It can be the Talia taking farm and using, or not taking farm and using the Spelthius Edge as well. So we'll have to see what PWE's take on this combo is, and immediately they're banning away things which can deny that point and click stun.
Div 3 always fun to cast because you get to see these special things that you might not see in the higher elo divisions. Of course, Pantheon and Talia, just as you were mentioning, is an extremely volatile kill lane. Into something like Ashe, which is not very mobile, it can be quite hell to play against.
You
it's
hit
also
level 3 and people are dead.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You just stun and then boom, you're dead. It's also very interesting to me that Flash actually feels more comfortable playing this with Flower, his sub, because I would definitely want to be on the same page as my support if I played something like this. You have to have good communication.
That's very true. However, if Bufu had not played any Talia, if they had not practiced that combo and he wasn't as comfortable on that champion, I'd still prefer to have the player who's played that champion more on the field if it is quite a big discrepancy.
That might explain the swap.
Yeah, it might well do. This could be pretty big brain. Spam those 4 heads in chat, the 5 heads in chat. As Ornn and Corki banned away. Those are 2 of the front-to-back team fighting specialists, which Prime Whatever did play in Game 2. Whereas on the other side, Prime Whatever choosing to remove Jazz's Morgana, even though he has played the Sona 2 times this series so far, and the Urgot away from Lucas. He was very close to carrying a lot of those fights, or actually did carry some of those fights in Game 2. Now he'll have to be up against a Mordekaiser in the top lane.
Shen and Urgot banned out for him. Both champions he has shown up on. Urgot maybe not as much, but he did definitely turn up in some of the later team fights to capitalize on PWE's mistakes. But it now seems that he will have to meet the ever so lovely Mordekaiser matchup, which is not something that top laners usually look forward to, as Mordekaiser is just absolutely irritating, and his kit is not well made, in my opinion.
I think Mordekaiser is... He's a very interesting champion because he's very often determined by... He has a lot of different build options. He's not a mana-gated champion. Doesn't really care about going for cooldown reduction either. He can go towards Leandries, Nash's, Protobell, Rylai's, a lot of other stuff. He's going to be up against the Maokai. I think Mordekaiser is really good into tanks. If he goes for a Nash's into a Rylai's, not into a Leandries rather, he's going to have a really wonderful time in that matchup. But yeah, Mordekaiser, not just the only champion on the Rift, though, planning out some other CC for their team. Mordekaiser, no, I was supposed to Mordekaiser.
Oh,
no.
what?
Nocturne locked in.
Nocturne mid.
Alright, okay, Nocturne mid, we are just
Okay, Vedi.
shoving and roaming.
Okay, Vedi. You want to explain this one, maybe? Mid lane name?
Okay, so I do a lot of casting for the LGL. I do a bootleg broadcast, a fan-run broadcast of the Japanese League of Legends scene. In spring, we had a lot of Nocturne mid. It allows you to sustain a lot in mid lane through your passive. You hit your passive onto the full minion wave. You get a lot of healing off of that. You get a lot of free wave clear for no mana from that as well. You put the Q through the wave alongside your passive auto. You just get to out-pressure these control mages. And if they ever step up close enough for you to tether them, you get the fear, you trade really well onto them too. Now you've got the Volibear, the Talia, and the Pantheon that can force across the map. Nocturne can fly in and finish off a lot of those kills. Very intriguing comp from Prime Whatever.
I definitely think that this is going to be a rather interesting. Both these team counts are going to be rather interesting.
Yeah,
to
that's the word
watch
to use.
team
Yeah.
fight, because this is extreme. This is going to be very not mechanically intensive, but how they play it out. Seeing that Deja Vu definitely want to engage with the J4, the Maokai, and the Braum. They definitely want to just jump it in. But then you have Mordekaiser, Volibear, Nocturne. All the champions on PWE have re-engage. Nocturne just, Mordekaiser just ults whoever's the big engage target. And where's your front line? It's gone. And then you have Nocturne, and then Pantheon, and then Talia just diving everybody. And Ashe and Victor, who are not exactly the most mobile of champions. Hopefully Victor goes for something like Phase Rush to try and counteract this. But it's going to be messy if if Deja Vu can't engage and try and get anything before those major ultimates come out.
So
or maybe when they're on cooldown.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the failing point of Prime whatever is even though they have a lot of dive, and of course they showed how that worked in game one, where they ended up winning that game. Game two didn't work out so well. They're quite low range. You've got let's have a look, 4 melees on your team and a Talir who is not particularly long range. You have a Victor, an Ashe, and a Maokai, which are really good at holding people for the rest of your team to start dealing with them. And of course, Braum is in that mix too. You can have a Cataclysm into flag drag out of that. There are a lot of ways where if Prem whatever, once again in this series, if they don't catch the carries will just cut them down. This is why the X factor of the Mordekaiser ultimate, taking away someone that could potentially stymie their own engage, taking away the Maokai, taking away the Jarvan when he's trying to ult into combat, and just taking them off the board. Even taking away the Braum when he's got his shield up can be really important in this game. So for me, a lot of this game for Prime whatever comes down to Ollie and his decision making about what he's building and how he's going to use that build to kill a person in his ult. Because Mordekaiser needs to put a lot of thought into what he's building to kill that one person, right? There are some items which are better against Victor or Ashe, which would not be as good against Maokai, Jarvan, and Braum.
Yeah, like you were explaining, Mordekaiser ult is extremely useful in certain scenarios. Some people might just see it, oh, I can 1v1 you now, and then I get stats after I kill you. But just being able to take somebody out of the fight with you and then almost guarantee that you have an advantage is just extremely strong, especially in like smite fights or something like Braum. If you're playing against, if you have an MF on your team,
Yes.
ult Braum out, and then just boom, you're dead. And it's extremely important that Ollie gets to use these ultimates correctly, or that they fight when his ultimate is up. I also
and on the other side, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go.
I also want to talk about how Nova is now on the Volley Bear instead of Mega Balls, and they're both on early game junglers, so this might be a bit more back and forth in the early game, maybe some Scuttle Crab contention.
Jarvan will need to be very careful against this Mordekaiser too. If he ults into a fight, if Mordekaiser ults him, the ult disappears. It doesn't stay in the death realm, so he can just walk him down. If he uses his full combo, Flag Dragon to ult, and yes, Mordekaiser ulted, he really doesn't have any ways to keep himself alive against a fed Mordekaiser. What will be very useful in this fight, though, in all of these fights, will be the Maokai ultimate. When you look at hard engaged teams, you immediately think, okay, how do we disengage? We talked about Ornn. If you over-engage, the Call of the Forge God comes in, and we saw in the last game, it can be really, really important to stymie that engage and put a lot of extra damage down with the brittle as well. Maokai is not dissimilar. You put down that nature's grasp, that ultimate, and you start using that to run that towards the enemy team. If Victor and Ashe are separated from their front line, not Victor and Ashe, if Talir is separated from the front line, which is dived in and isn't there for the follow-up damage, can be very, very important, and Maokai has the tools to make that happen.
Definitely, dive comps can be rather ruined by just one person not following up with the rest of the team.
Exactly, yeah.
Looking at the looking at the loading screen right now, we see nothing too special. The exhaust on the Victor probably best when you're up against an AD assassin. The Nocturne has opted for the ignite as well, and as we've been seeing mostly for the bot lane of Deja Vu Academy, they have opted for the exhaust and heal, just a little more safe. Probably exactly what you want to be doing into something like Talia Pantheon. They have opted up for the heal ignite. And Talia has some Dark Harvest, so that is going to be stacking up all game and she can just one-shot you.
Yeah, and for those that don't play or haven't seen Pantheon support played, it is actually very high damage from a support position, and it allows you to ult into the backline or ult one side of the team, jump onto a backline carry, then retreat with your Aegis. It allows you to get the CC into them, and it gives you some wider utility in team fights. If you really want to see this played a lot, go watch the VCS, the Vietnamese region. They play this like every game. It is first pick ban material. A lot of the top teams are playing that. Press the attack, very easy to activate. If you jump in with your shield stun, the W, you get 3 quick auto attacks afterwards, which stack up the passive, sure, and the empowered W, yes. But if you do that, and it also gives you the press the attack, 3 auto attacks immediately followed up, gives you that extra exposure damage, which means that the rest of your team is going to be doing a lot of extra damage to the target which you have singled out as your prey. And then let's go look around the rest of the map. Top lane's relatively usual. Jungle, relatively usual. Mid lane, yeah, you got that exhaust. You're against a lot of divers. Having that exhaust can be very important. And we've talked about phase rush against melee targets can be very, very useful. Why aren't we seeing cleanse on Victor and Ashe? There's a Mordekaiser on the other team. It means that you can get the QSS, and it will do double time on trying to get out of the Pantheon stun, and of course out of the Mordekaiser ultimate once that's in its cast animation. So I'm expecting one or 1.5 items to come in from Vanoffel and Z-Man Jr., and then they should go for a QSS to keep themselves truly safe in these team fights.
I'm still a bit like confused with the Nocturne pick. I haven't been watching too much of the LGL. You're also talking about the VCS. I believe it's Everyday who casts the
It
English
is,
version.
yes. Good friends with him.
So shout out to Everyday. We're at 10
Yes, we are
seconds.
staffed at 10.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
So is the lethal tempo the thing you're supposed to go? The
It
room
is.
you're supposed to go?
It is. Yeah. If you end up ulting onto someone and you have the lethal tempo running, it means that you just get to your next passive very quickly. You are an auto attack based champion anyway. You get on top of them, the fear procs. You get 3-4 auto attacks right on their face, and your DPS is really, really high. You can go for something like press the attack or conquer as well. It's just much more smooth in your trading patterns.
Oh, pause coming out, but it does look like Deja Vu are going to be trying to get something in the top lane. They are kind of split though. Ashe kind of just walking forward by herself into the Mordekaiser. They might just try and get some vision with this pressure, but it doesn't look like anything's going to be happening too soon right now. Braum has opted in for the Guardian. As I said, it's been nerfed a little bit. He did opt. The Tark did also opt in for it in the early game. I believe that was Flash who played it though. Oh, Mordekaiser just kind of getting poked a little bit. Oh,
Ouch,
okay.
that is a lot of... I wonder if they can stop the back with a volley or something like a death ray. They're not going for it right now. Mordekaiser will get back to lane in time for anything. This has just been vision and nothing else, and it is a lot of vision. Raptors and red buff scouted out from Prime whatever. They have done that the entire series. And of course, the blue buff put in there has a ward on it as well. What this does mean, though, 4 wards are put down. Potentially over-warded now, because Mega Balls, if he ends up ganking after those timeouts, there'll be no wards to scout out where Jarvan is coming for them.
I also want to talk about the positioning of Flower and Flasher in the bot lane. They are just waiting in the bush. They know exactly what they need to be doing with this this comp, but it just looks like they're just going to be pulling the wave so that they can push it towards them. This is just basic wave management. I mean, actually surprised to see it in Division 3, but good for them. So this means that the wave is going to be pushing towards them, and they should have it by their tower for around the level 2 power spike, which is definitely what they want. Level 3 is definitely when their big power spike comes in, which if they play it right, does look like that they messed up the pull a little bit, but it doesn't matter. They want to have the level 3 by oh yeah, shit, mid lane.
That's the thing, yes. So the Flash now away from Nocturne. The thing about Nocturne is that he's great if he has access to the wave, and now being chunked out and not having Flash means he is in much more danger now if Mega Balls is around. And we saw that even though the Jarvan was spotted out on his first clear, it did not stop him getting into a lane and immediately making an impact on his early game jungler.
Yeah, melee versus ranged matchups are never fun, especially in the mid lane.
I play a lot of Zed, and that's pretty fun.
I guess, but yeah, Zed is dog champ. What?
I wish I could disagree with you,
you didn't hear a word from me.
Yeah, he's in competitive. He's sure something.
He is Nuke Duck.
That's a guy.
Yeah,
actually, today, 7 years ago, was the Faker versus Ryu outplay.
Really?
Oh my god, look at the cleanse, look at the moves, the
Wow.
1v1, the Zed mirror. 7 years ago, it makes me
Throwback.
feel
Back when QSS could remove Zed'll.
Fiora and Zed'll, yeah.
Oof, the good old days.
Well, actually, that was before Fiora rework. But yes, it was when it removed all kinds of debuffs, all DOTs. What a time that was. It was completely different game balance.
That was a fun time to play AD carries. That was when we actually had some self-respect for ourselves and one another.
That's never happened, don't lie.
Nah. Level 3 coming out, as I was talking about a little bit before the mid lane gank. The wave management was a little bit scuffed, which means that their level 3 power spike doesn't really mean anything, as the wave was by the tower, now sitting back in the lane. Talia sitting at a little bit of a CS advantage, but nothing too drastic, as they haven't really been able to poke out or do any major tricks.
Right. Do you just want to talk about this very quickly? I really like what Noffel's doing here in the mid lane. So he already gets pressure from his jungler very early, gets the flash out of his lane opponent. He then makes sure that he has the wave just situated on his side of the lane, which allows him to play much more safely.
Oh, the exhaust is popped. He might just die to tower. Oh, he's so low. The ignite is popped, but he doesn't actually get the kill from it either. And Plat Police walks away at 3 or something like that HP. Does seem that we have another pause, but that mid lane gank, I actually thought that was an easy kill for Vanoffel, but the tower just barely. I think it was the Nocturne passive that actually saved him from the tower there. The ignite Was dropped, but it
Very,
wasn't enough.
very
to take
close.
it down.
Actually, as that gank happened, I was like, hey, Van Offel got the wave on his side of the lane. That's something which you should really do against these kill pressure matchups in mid lane. If you're against an Aurelia, a Yasuo, a LeBlanc, if you have the wave at your tower, they can't just dive at you because a lot of their damage comes in from melee range. What this means is that when the gank comes in from Unstoppable Nova, it's only exhaust burned, it's not a kill, it's not a flash. Victor doing pretty well in that trade.
Definitely so, and I'm glad to see that they're actually utilizing some wave management, but I am disappointed to see that bot lane isn't exactly utilizing their early game advantage to do much. You usually see this in these kind of lower divisions. They try their best to pick these early game champions, but they never really utilize them to their full effect. Something like Caitlyn is usually used as a hyper carry instead of that harasser
Lane
that
bully,
she used
yeah.
to use. Yeah, the lane bully that
No, that's a
she's
very good point.
used as. I think that
in some of my previous casts, I have said, hey, you should probably be using this a bit more. You're not getting the advantages you need. The reason your comp is meant to work is because of some of the ways you can end up very smoothly sliding into mid and late game. If you're not using that early power and getting yourself snowballed in the case of Taliyah Pantheon, getting yourself Dark Harvest stacks, extra gold, putting the Ashe and the Brawn behind, you're not using your champions to their full power, and that's kind of a problem for your team comp.
Yeah, definitely. They should actually be having prio for this first Drake, but it does look like they're going to delay it a bit. They back just in time. They try and freeze the wave. They back at the same time as the enemy bot laner. Even though Unstoppable Nova has come here on the Volleybird, it doesn't look like they're going to start it immediately, though, as the J4 believe he was spotted top lane, but I can't be 100% sure. But it does look like that Z-Man and Jazza are going to try and contest or at least get some information.
Okay, so we have Dragon started up. Vision is on it. But of course, no Jarvan there to smite, steal away the
Volleybird
dragon.
a little bit low, but Smite does get him up as Nocturne was there to reinforce if anything happened, which, of course, as we can tell, but as they couldn't tell, there wasn't exactly anything.
Yeah. So, okay. No kills just yet. 6 minutes in.
I want
Not used to
I
this.
want LPL. What is this?
I'm not used to this. What happens now? I have to talk more though. I can't just give over to you when there's more kills happening.
Yeah, we're not allowed to play by play until 30 minutes.
Hey!
Oh, gank!
Fights!
It doesn't look like they're trying to set up any a gank, but the Taliyah does miss the W, which is the setup CC, but she does miss time to stun a little bit. Volibear does come in. Oh, Dark Harvest proc, so I guess a little bit worth, but they actually don't end up getting anything as they mistime their CC chain just a little bit.
You know how you're talking immediately when this was locked in? Hey, this requires a lot of coordination. Maybe you want the guy that plays more often with your team playing this so you're on the same page. Well, that's what it kind of culminates in. Maybe that's a root cause of why Taliyah did not end up getting the combo there. It was mistimed. They weren't on the same page. We saw this from the Caitlyn too, though, remember, when we had that with the Morgana. Things didn't quite work out in terms of those kill combos. And once again, we're left a little bit wanting from the coordination of these bot lanes.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so PWE, I'll give you some free coaching here. Just, yeah, don't pick early game if you don't know how to play it, man. And coordinate a little bit more.
Okay, right. Okay, so the combos used there. I don't want to spend my time flaming it because, of course, there's something. I mean, there is a point where it becomes nitpicking. The problem is with Caitlyn Morgana, with Pantheon Taliyah, it's so much of the identity of the duo. It's so important you get that right. Okay, if they end up using it well around objectives, picking off the jungler before the fight happens, picking off a mid lane or someone like that, we can revise our opinion of that. But for right now, we have that question mark penciled in. See how it works out in the rest of the game.
Yeah, they haven't exactly been against, like, very good matchups either. They've been against, what was it, Sivir?
No, I think Brom's pretty good. I think Brom's actually pretty good against this duo too. It's really good.
Is it?
You
Okay.
put up the shield, you take a lot less damage because of that facing the damage that comes from. The same way that Pantheon happens, you can just reduce a lot of damage. You're very tanky. You've got Guardian, you've got a heal, you've got an exhaust. Unless it's the Ashe that's caught straight out, quite hard to utilize your kill pressure here.
Yeah, and they haven't really been able to utilize it, which is what I expected to see. Benawfel's actually doing a pretty good job in the mid lane, sitting at a decent CS lead, about 20 CS, and he's just freezing the wave. Not much that Place can do without his jungler, any sort of help. Benawfel sitting about 400 gold over the Nocturne at this point.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it's a kill's worth of gold come out of lane management. If you're an aspiring mid laner, this is a really important skill to learn. If you are against kill pressure matchups, when you are a scaling champion, this is so useful to make sure you don't just randomly die in the early game. Also really useful when you're against heavy ganking junglers, or remember back when Camille jungle was the thing. You had to just freeze your lane completely because it's so hard to make sure you keep surviving. The next step up from this is now, once Fanoffel has reached this point where he can wave clear, he wants to ward out safely one side of the lane and make sure that he can just hang on that side of the lane with when his jungler is nearby. You get that vision control, and then you can start using that pressure you earned yourself from getting that CS advantage to start affecting different parts of the map.
Speaking of affecting different parts of the map, the junglers haven't been really doing much. We've only really seen a gank from Unstoppable Nova, and Sir Megaballs did get that flash earlier, but didn't really do much to try and do anything with it. It's been quite a bit of a snooze fest in the jungle so far. Top lane, well, that's
They're just making sure we're gonna have another late game team fight fiesta, you know? Like, this is why, like, when you're a caster and if you get paid a day rate, they just really want to get the maximum value out of the unit, It's tournament organized. They have a bit of words to the players. Say, hey, you know how you're a really strong early game team? Can we not do that this game? We really want these guys to do more shouting at video games.
That is a very good job description.
God damn it, pay me by the hour. No.
Yeah. Oh, hourly pay at shoutcasting. That'd be great.
I do say that, but then you get like loads of 2-0s and you're left really wanting.
Fair enough. Yeah, the roam is in the mid lane, but it does look like the Victor's doing a lot of damage. He's forced the flash out from Pretty Flower on this Leah as she was almost killed. And the Nocturne ulti does come in. The Ignite is put down, the Exhaust as well. Oh, stopwatch, but it does mean his untimely doom. The stun does not come out under the tower, and that is first blood picked up for the Nocturne. After they took Rift Herald, they brought up everybody for that point.
And because it's Victor, it's almost like an untimely Doctor Doom. He comes in, flashes in place. After he does have a really good 1v2 outplay onto the Nocturne, onto the Pantheon Talia rather, he used their globals, using the Avengers entrance, the superhero landing in the mid lane, turns it around with the Chaos Storm, walks up too far, punished for his overstep for the first time this game, and Plat Police showing why he picked this pick and why it is good into a mobile control mages.
Definitely, and we'll see if he can utilize that to try and snowball his lead as well as the rest of the team's lead as well. Talia and Pantheon didn't really get that much. Ashe is actually now sitting at a higher gold advantage over Talia because those 2 plates I believe she got from the bot lane. But it does look like they have enough pressure to possibly start up this Drake, even though that Victor does seem to have priority over the mid lane.
And the thing is though, like, so I mean, it is such a buzzword, but it is an important one to use because it encapsulates so much about League of Legends. Priority, what does it mean? If you push out your wave, if there are no enemy minions in your lane, it means that you will lose money by not hitting those minions at your own tower. It means that you are forced to stay in that lane in a lot of different scenarios, or you start losing out compared to the enemy lane. What that means is that the person who has no enemy minions left in their lane can move wherever the heck they want. They can go somewhere else, go to Dragon, go somewhere else, team up with the rest of their champions on their side of the rift, and make sure they can do something there. Because there's priority from the red team, it means that they can go towards that Dragon and get themselves the second one of the game, and because it's an Infernal Rift, they're very happy about that scenario.
And that, kids, is called roaming.
Hooray!
One of the most underutilized things as an AD carry player is roaming. One thing I think is super important during certain matchups for an AD carry. Oh! Megaboss tries to get the red buff, but he does end up having to burn his smite. The Nocturne ulti does come in. The Blast Cone does put him a little bit closer, but Joyfor does drop the ulti to try and keep him posted up. But Pantheon comes to support him, and they do up picking up another kill onto the J4 this time in his own jungle. And the red buff goes over to the Nocturne.
Does, and one of the things that all of these huge initiation ultimates allow Prime whatever to do is force a play. They can find someone out of position and just dunk them where they stand. This time it's Mega Balls on the Jarvan. We said he hadn't managed to do that much early. Now he's sat down at 0 and 1, and now his mid laner has no one to protect him or the mid lane tower. They have the Herald in inventory too, so it's probably going to be 3 plates going over. Actually, it depends if you
13 minutes, about 45 seconds until the plates fall down. You probably want to be using your Herald very soon. Usually, if you have the time, you probably want to get about 2.5 plates before you drop the Herald, because it will kill it with the charge.
One shot the tower, yep.
Yep, and that's just basic Rift Herald stuff. I'm glad to see that they seem to know their stuff when it comes to that.
Yeah, it looks like they've spotted out Volibear going top. They might want to use it there, but with only 20 seconds left on the Herald, I'm not sure they're going to get it in time, actually.
Nocturne almost engaged on, but he does Spell Shield, and the Braum actually just whiffs the Q completely. Bot lane's just sort of snooze fiesta right now as well.
Right.
Top lane,
using
they use
top
Herald.
lane. Okay, can they actually stop this in time? It's charging, 5 seconds left. 2 plates going over, 160 gold to each Ollie and Unstoppable Nova. Cutting it pretty close, but at least they get it.
Quite nice of Nova to give over some gold to his top lane. He's like, I feel your pain, bud.
We're gonna talk about that, Ash ult? We're gonna do that?
No, I didn't see it. I
Okay,
missed it
cool.
completely.
All right,
Yeah,
very
no,
cool.
yeah.
Well, if you didn't see it, you know, it didn't really
I did.
happen, right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Yeah, nice, yeah. It's like if a tree falls in a forest and on his, does it actually fall over? Well, to me, there was no Ash ult, and therefore, unfortunately, it is still on cooldown. Yeah, trying
If a man
to
complains in the forest, is he still wrong?
Depends on the person and what they're complaining about. If they're talking about astrology, yes, they are still wrong. Okay, right. So it was preempting the dive on the top side of the map, trying to see if they were going to dive with that Herald, because of course Volibear and Mordekaiser had lots of mixed damage against the Maokai. Maybe had an ability to try and threaten him there. They didn't obviously go for that, and the Ash ult is therefore wasted. Of course, not really much has been happening that much in the last couple of minutes, so I guess it's not a massive loss for them.
I think there's a lot of similarities you can draw between top laners and casters. They know their job, and they sort of just have to sit there sometimes and just take it.
Yeah,
And,
you try and have as much fun with the situation as it allows you, and the problem with top lane is that you just know that you're going to be sat there kind of on the graveyard shift. You're like, oh, okay, I guess I have to do this. Wait, what did our team come to again? You need a tank? Okay, I guess I'm playing a tank. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
And that's what they're doing this game.
Sometimes you have to entertain the masses. In some metas, it's top lane city. It's like solo kills constantly.
Yeah.
And for some casters, it's sometimes you gotta get color. Sometimes you gotta make some extremely bad puns.
I've never done that. No, I've
Never.
never done that.
Absolutely
not. Yeah. And man, it's
Possible
like
dive,
talking of
probably?
all of possible. Victor's roaming down. Will run into Unstoppable Nova if he chooses to path down that way. Actually, with Byron being under that top lane, bot lane, sorry, outer turret, will dissuade any kind of dive from Prime whatever. Once again, kind of left with a lack of action.
Drake is coming up soon. Rift Herald is also spawning, so hopefully we get some contention around that. We might actually see a split between the two teams to try and trade 1-for-1. Nothing too interesting about the build path. The Nocturne has gone for the Bork, but of course Bork on melee is actually just a burst item.
That synergizes better with the Little Tempo, but it's not really great for full burst. You normally want to go towards Duskblade, Black Cleaver, go towards more lethality, because of course your ultimate does a burst of damage, your Q does as well. It just means that your full burst combo probably less on someone like Vanoffel. Might give you a better matchup versus someone like Maokai in a side lane, though.
I also definitely think that Deja Vu... Oh, and it looks to be a fight here. J4 does get out with the Flag and Drag, but Volibear takes out his ulti. The Nocturne does get stunned in mid-air. Perfect Ash arrow. But, yeah, they end up getting out. The Mordekaiser teleport is used to try and secure this dragon. And wow, that Ash ulti sort of just saved that fight completely.
That was huge. Yeah, it ends up landing the arrow onto the midway through the Paranoia Plat Police. What this
TP
does mean...
coming in from Lucas as well. It looks like he might just use the Nature's Grab immediately to try and engage this fight. Mordekaiser ulti is used onto the J4 to stop him from trying to smite the Drake. Excuse me. The Ash is just whittling away everybody with her Borg item spike, while the Victor ulti is
Cataclysm. Watch for that.
The Cataclysm is still up, as you mentioned, and the flash forward. It's trying to get the slow, and the Braum does try and get up as well, and the E isn't enough. The heal is also used. Oh, yes! The auto attack range coming in huge for Ash. It looks like they keep going. Oh my god. Z-Man! Okay, just... Wow.
Guy's a monster. So we see Prime whatever. We talked about it in the first kill. All of these initiation ultimates allow them to dive and force a play. If you misuse them, though, your champions are sorely lacking. They are balanced around using their ultimates. If you don't have them, you can't fight face up against someone like an Ash Victor backline when you can't shut them down. Ollie doesn't shut down Mega Balls, the Jarvan inside that Death Realm. He then falls on the back end of it. Dragon goes over to Deja Vu Academy, and once again, we might have this blue team on the cusp of fighting their way back into the game.
Ollie was also in range to ult. He had quite a few targets to ult there, but he ended up actually ulting Mega Balls, even though it wasn't even a smite fight. Could have maybe ulted into his backline, but I still feel like he was in range to do quite a bit more with that ulti. But
the rest of his team just had no way to really... Well, they didn't end up committing to the fight particularly well. I do. So you have, I was talking about very early on saying, hey, Mordekaiser, he needs to build certain ways to deal with certain people. Leandri's into Nash's is very good against melee tanky matchups. What that means is your Jarvan, your Braum, and your Maokai tend to be your targets for that. You don't really want to be hitting the Ashe or the Victor in with your ult. Oh, speaking of ults, one in bot lane.
Oh, Z-Man still doesn't have any summoners, but he does get the ult off. The Braum is here to try and reinforce, and it might look like the kiting comes out. The stun, oh my god, unlucky timing. And in the top lane, there's also a dive. The Volibear's already used his ulti, and he's just running down Lucas on the Maokai, but it doesn't look like they're going to pick up the kill. They actually just pick up the tower instead. And they still have the Herald to use if they want to do anything more, but it looks like they're just going to leave top lane alone.
You're saying, hey, Z-Man, I've seen him play Ashe before. He's pretty good on it. I believe you. I really believe you. He's ended up linking up very well with his team in that back end of the fight around the dragon. He was the man flashing forward with the volley, allowing his team to chase forward for another kill. He's been leading the charge there and survives. But the sliver of HP in that bot lane, wasting the next paranoia from the Nocturne, getting the Guardian and the shield from Braum certainly helping him out there. Now set at 3-0, in a position to do a lot of damage this game.
Well played by Jazza as well, coming in right on time to get that passive up and the shield up to block the... I saw it get procced, I'm not sure by what. It might have been the time at. But that is so sad by Plat Police. He thought he had it. He's like, I have a decent...
It was very close. Very, very close.
And then
I mean, if that Guardian doesn't come in, then it's a completely secured kill. You end up chasing that person down. However, it did come in, Braum being one of the best peel supports for AD carries in the game, showing why it's very important versus this kind of comp where they are forcing so hard onto your backline.
But that also goes into the Bork that that Plat Police has picked up instead of the Duskblade, like you were saying. That extra bit of burst damage can be crucial.
I absolutely agree. I think that you have a lot of attack speed. That's nice. That's kind of okay, I guess. But Ashe is not building HP. You're not going to get much use out of the active. Braum just getting hit a little bit by...
Oh no! Pantheon is in a bad position without Flash. That is a blast cone of the century to put Pantheon in his place. And the Cataclysm is used to secure the kill. I think the Paranoia was more used on a vision standpoint, like ulti, try and get the...
That is very perplexing to me. Now you don't have that ultimate to force the next fight. Another kill goes over to Deja Vu Academy. And a lot of it is through mispositioning of the members of Prime whatever. And now without that extra ultimate to force the next play, I'm a little bit worried for them in the next couple of minutes. Ashe is getting a lot of gold, a lot of XP. They're losing jungle camps. They're losing a lot around the map. And they don't really have a way to break this momentum.
The AD carries this entire series have just been chilling in the side lane, farming. And I like to see it. You don't see that usually in these lower elo games. They usually don't like... Oh, and it's the dive. The Mordekaiser ulti does come out to try and make him survive, and he does ult the J4 under the tower, who might pick up a kill, but he does flash away. The J4 is getting whittled down a little bit, but the Mordekaiser does fall. The Guardian does save the J4 as well. Oh, Volibear comes in with the ulti, tries to secure the kill onto the J4, but he gets away with the Flag and Drag, and Unstoppable Nova is picked off in the end. And it might just be that Talia is also picked up the Braum passive and the flash in from Lucas coming in clutch with the slow from Z-Man, who is just sitting back and enjoying his time as the best AD carry on the Rift current.
I love the way Deja Vu... I love the way Deja Vu Academy are team fighting right now. They have each other's backs. They're playing around the defensive cooldowns of Braum and Maokai very well to boot. And they've now got themselves a 7-2 kill lead. They have themselves a very strong AD carry, 2 items and a QSS early into this game. Whereas on the other side, Prime whatever, failing to make their engages stick. We saw it for the first 2 kills of the game. They've not really managed to keep up that kind of momentum, as we were talking. The momentum of Deja Vu Academy having just before that play came out. They need to find another win against the play of this game now, because they're slowly sinking to a large goal deficit.
I was just going to talk about a couple minutes ago before the next Drake that I think... Oh, Paranoia comes in on the Ashe, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get anything as 3 people are there. That was a complete misplay, but it does look... The rest of the team is there, absolutely bursted! And that's 3 kills. It was all just a bait. Plat Police initiates the fight, and they get 3 kills for it, including a shutdown, and 2 kills onto the Talia.
You
Christ,
won
I was
well.
just about to say.
We were asking Prime whatever. Make a play to get this back in your favor. Break the momentum, break the backs of Deja Vu Academy. It comes off of the Talia Pantheon. We talked about their laning phase. Hey, you're not hitting those combos. What's happening with that? We then said, you do it later into the game, maybe we'll revise our opinion. This is a very good start. If they were to make a comeback and claw back, as we've said so often this series, this gold deficit and get themselves the series victory.
I was gonna say before, I think Deja Vu don't respect the burst enough. They think, oh, we're unstoppable, we've been just steamrolling fights. But that Luden's power spike and the Umbral power spike for the bot lane of Prime whatever is just, it's huge. You don't respect it enough. Just like Bork on the Ashe, it is an extremely powerful power spike. But they didn't get to show it off until that moment where they just got absolutely deleted.
They got absolutely rolled. They used. We said it for the initiating team going into the counter dive team. If you use too many of your cooldowns and then you get counter engaged on, things get really hairy. The same thing can be said for any kind of team comp, though. If you use too much trying to shut down the Nocturne, the Ashe ult was used. You use the Braum Shield as well. You then lack some of those some of those tools to disengage the next series of engages, and then this Talia Pantheon comes in. They find themselves a free shooting gallery, and they knock down so many members of Deja Vu Academy. They're now set on Infernal Soul Point, and that is certainly something to play around later this game goes on.
DVA were definitely caught with their pants down, believing it was only just a misplay from the Nocturne. Even I believed it was just a misplay from the Nocturne, but they ended up turning it around, and now they have complete control over the Baron side, the top side jungle. It seems that the towers are also falling. It's only an inhibitor tower top lane right now, and they're just clearing all the wards that they want. And they could be setting up for the Baron at any time with the Victor and the Ashe. They could just whittle that Baron away.
They can do. They also have tanks to tank it up for forever. Braum, Maokai, Jarvan, all pretty good at taking down the Baron without losing too much HP. The problem then comes in, if you are funneled into the Baron pit, you have a Talia wall walling you in or out of it, and then you have the Grand Starfall from Pantheon, amongst other things, diving onto your face. Things can get very, very hairy very, very quickly. You need to be very certain that you can win the fight if they were to initiate onto you,
Ollie.
and that can be pretty awkward. They do have Weaver's Wall, but Mordekaiser needs to try and ult
Always
first.
out of position. Oh, and the ulti is QSS by Z-Man. Very well played by him, and he does land the ulti so that Ollie does get stunned in the end, and they aren't really able to pick up. Victor is rather chunked, but I still think they should be able to do whatever they want. It does look like that Prime whatever are using this time to push in the mid wave, and get that tier 2 in mid lane, open up the map a little bit more for themselves as well.
But pushing down
Deja Vu are just starting Baron.
Yeah, but Deja, Prime whatever are taking down the mid lane. They might even trade a Baron for an inhibitor here. It's a 5v4 situation for Deja Vu Academy. They're going to take the Baron, but how much will they lose?
I don't know if I like this trade. The Baron is down, and that means the Empowered recalls, but it does look like they're focusing down the inhibitor. I think they might want to leave very soon. They don't have very many engaged tools right now. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the Cataclysm, and Nature's Grasp are all used. But the Nature's Grasp is actually used to try and catch out any stragglers from the inhibitor play, but it does look like they're all going to get out safely. And inhibitor for Baron, what do you think about that one?
Okay, what do I think about that? I think it's a really good trade given the scenario. You can't really contest that Baron. You think you do need the Mordekaiser in there, taking someone out of the fight and making sure that the rest of your burst is onto someone relevant and not blocked out by someone like the Jarvan and Maokai Braum. We talked about that a lot throughout this game. I think this is really good in terms of stopping Victor and Ashe just kind of de facto getting the wave push in mid lane, trying to kill super minions, even though they are relatively okay at doing that, will be a much harder job than just deleting the wave instantly with something like a Death Ray. The Baron now overlaps with the next Infernal Dragon spawn. That's important to note. We need to see who gets that. If it is stolen or taken just regularly by Prime whatever, they then have the Infernal Soul. We know how important an objective that is.
Yeah, opening up the mid lane like that is extremely important to try and secure this soul for Prime whatever. An Infernal Soul on something like a Talia or a Mordekaiser, that is gonna
or even the Nocturne trying to 100-0 someone. It's really important for most of their members.
It does look like DVA are gonna try and contest in some way, either vision or whatever they can do as of now. They're trying to get as much control as they can to the bot side jungle, but you shouldn't put PWE off here. Even though they're down about 2k gold, they still are quite strong. The Italia has actually opted for the Magi. She's feeling spicy.
A blank Magi's is quite good though. If you get up to 10 stacks, or if you just get yourself involved in a fight, you get extra movement speed. The extra movement speed might allow you to get on top or in range for a combo, but in range is Maokai.
Oh, flash! Lucas flashes in to get the Nature's Grasp onto the volley barrier. He's out of position. He doesn't quite reach over the wall with his ulti, but has the flash over. Anyways, Nocturne does go in to try and kill Z-Man, but it isn't enough. Z-Man's just sitting back using the Archer's Focus to try and get as much damage as possible. He flashes in to try and get the slow. He's just been flashing forward all the time. Braum gets another slow onto it, and there's flag and drag. The Talia tries to get out, but the slow is coming in, but they aren't going to follow up. And they're just going to delay Soul another 5 minutes for PWE, which was, I think, their biggest way back into this game.
Oh man, Plat Police flies in with the paranoia as Unstoppable Nova jumps out with the volley bear ultimate. They end up being quite disconnected in that fight. Pretty Flower is here trying to take down the dragon. Maybe. Oh, the flash knockup.
Oh, nice flash EQ from Sir Megaballs. And he does get the kill. I understand what Flower was trying to do there, but it's a bit overzealous. Z-Man still had the exhaust. He could have easily just walked up towards you and gotten that kill without even breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I agree.
Very strong
and now
right
he's lost himself 5 Magi stacks. He's dead with this wave being pushed into the mid lane turret. It's going to be a series of losses back to back for
Prime another engage. The Flag and Drag is landed, and the Braum passive is landed as well. The Nature's Grasp is not used. Excuse me, it's the W. Don't remember. I think it's some Shambling Torrent. And they pick up another kill onto the Pantheon.
Twisted Advance. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, words. Nature words. And it does look like they're going to be securing an inhibitor. The death timers are about 20 seconds, but it is a 4v5. The Weaver's Wall is used to try and, I don't know, try and zone them a little bit. It does look like Unstoppable Nova is looking for something. He does not have the ultimate up, and that is Plat Police going in, but he does actually end up having to flash away. That is not enough damage that he has on an assassin. And Z-Man is just having one hell of a time doing absolutely everything an AD carry needs to do, and I think this is the series.
I think it is, with 2 people dead and all of the ultimates once again used to no avail. It looks like Deja Vu Academy will crush the Nexus Towers. Is there a last hurrah, or is it game over?
Unstoppable Nova tries to do anything. He does have the ultimate up now, and that is the Pantheon ultimate coming out as well. The Cataclysm is used to try and make sure that the front line don't get on Z-Man, who is a little bit forward, but it doesn't matter because they're not even trying to get him. And he's just running him down. Van Awful picks up the double kill, the triple kill, and Braum picks up the tower. And that is going to be game.
Welcome to 2nd place in Division 3 Deja Vu Academy. Hope we enjoy your stay. They end up closing this out 2-1. They were made to work for it. However, it's a win is a win is a win.
I think I have to credit that game to the build path of the Nocturne mid being absolutely useless for what he was trying to do.
I think the thing is, those kind of picks look really awful when you're behind or uncoordinated. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think, yeah, the build path didn't help. What also didn't help is the fact that they couldn't set up any dive spot lane, really. They didn't really have a consistent teamfight engaged. They committed to a lot of 5v5s, or maybe they should be looking for more split maps. They didn't quite secure the Infernal Soul either. Of course, that would have been a win condition for them. A lot of key fights went very, very badly wrong after the first couple of ultimates usage were pretty good.
A lot of picks, especially at the end there around around Soul and the Pantheon, also crucially getting killed under the tower, which allowed Deja Vu to crack open the base. But Z-Man, he was not afraid. That was
No, absolutely not.
I thought it was bad positioning, but no, he just knew exactly what he could do. He stepped into melee range versus assassins, and it doesn't matter because he could just whittle them down with that Archer's Focus. This huge damage.
Yeah, I think that I really want to praise Jazza, because of course in the first 2 games we had a lot to say about him getting caught in the zona. This game, his Braum was pivotal to his carry surviving, and his carries have a good KDA pretty much because he did his job immaculately. So congrats to Jazza, you did a really good job on the Braum there, a lot of praise for that. And then of course, Van Awful and Z-Man, given that space and given the initiation and all the roles being played by the other members of the team, just carried this game so hard on the Victor and the Ashe.
Definitely. Well played to both teams.
Okay. So yes, I know someone just spoke in your ear and it does frighten you. Sometimes it happens. We had the voice of the heavens. We are actually going to be having an interview. We're going to be having that interview with Z-Man Jr., who was the victorious AD carry of Deja Vu Academy. Just going to wait for him to load into the server until then. Any final thoughts just on these couple of games so far?
It was definitely an even match. It was back and forth all series, but this game 3, I think it was definitely more Deja Vu favored. They definitely showed their play style, and they showed that they can do it
Yeah.
quite well. Of course, there were a lot of mistakes from PWE, but I think Deja Vu in the end were just the better team.
The thing about Balance League is that you're never going to have a game without mistakes. Hell, the thing about pro players, you're never going to have a game that's immaculate, right? A perfect game can even have things you can improve on it. You can prey on mistakes and you can try and cover up your own with better plays later on. But yeah, I think in these 3 games, Deja Vu did prove that they were the better team on the day. I think even in game 2, they had roads to victory there. And in games 1 and 3, they did end up showing themselves to being the more powerful team fighting team. So going 2-1, I think it probably tells the story, the correct story of this series. They will be happy in second place. The question is, can they step up again to deal with a team like Horizon Light?
Definitely. Horizon Light are extremely scary in Division 3 right now, so it's going to be quite a fight to the top. Hopefully they can stand on that just a little bit higher up on the podium, because they definitely deserve to be in second place currently.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I know we don't do like player of the game, player of the series, or anything like that. Well, at least we don't track that. I'm just trying to think through who really was my Deja Vu player of the series. I mean, game 1, Lucas on the Shen was just destructive. Just absolutely insane. And then we had a couple of questions about the bot lane, you know, Demon and Jazz are getting, but they managed to do pretty well in laning phase against the Kate and the Morg. We expected a lot more deaths in that lane, but then they carried late game very well. Then you come through to game 2. Mega Balls and Vanoffel ended up doing a lot of damage, but they didn't manage to carry the game. Go to game 3, though, it really was Z-Man and Jazz are pulling out their fingers too. Who was your player of the series, do you reckon?
I think for me, it's definitely between Lucas and Van Offel, just for pure consistency. Van Offel and Lucas, they never really did anything that was hugely destructive for the game, but they were always there for when they needed to be. On the Maokai, you saw Lucas was flashing in, getting hard engages. On the Shen, of course, the 3-man taunt and the hard carry performance. The Urgot, he was still extremely consistent. Van Offel, exact same thing, extremely consistent. But in the end, I think I'll give it to Lucas, because he was just constantly consistent.
And actually, you know, speaking about Lucas, so we said we were going to talk with Z-Man. It turns out we've had a bit of a switcheroo on that, and instead we will be here talking to Top Laner. So we're going to drag him in now. Say hello. Hello, congratulations on the 2-1 win over Prime whatever. What are your first thoughts out of this series and securing second place for your team?
Oh, quite a different result from last split. Going from relegations to finals. I think this guarantees finals. So I'm hyped.
Hyped indeed. Last, you got any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, your performance game 1 was definitely something to behold. Urgot also extremely consistent, and the Maokai, you did a lot to engage with the team. Do you feel like you're one of the best top laners in Div 1 or the best?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I've been shaky this split. I feel like I could definitely perform better. But
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna keep my better performances for the last few series. It's all planned.
Keep something in the tank. Well,
Exactly.
I mean, you're still drawing out Shen bans amongst other things, so it does give you some advantages to play with, at least in that draft phase. Speaking of the draft phase, you guys really tended to hammer on to these front-to-back, peel-back for your carry kind of compositions. Is this the kind of compositions that your team feels most comfortable with? Is it something you want to kind of adapt in the future? How are you feeling about how your team approaches the draft phase right now?
I'm really happy with it. I think we are really good front to back. With the change of ADC, I think it's kind of easier to pull off a front to back team comp than have wild lane swaps and rotations. And I think because of the switch, I think it's better to keep it easy and simple. So I think it really benefits us at the current moment.
Hey, easy and simple, but obviously game 2 is not easy or simple in any regard. Things went really back and forth. There were a lot of late game decisions to be made in that game. Who's the person really driving that conversation? Is it more of a mixed kind of responsibility, or is there one person that really leads your shot calling?
Well, the way our team works, kind of everyone throws in information, and then Byron or Mega Balls or
I hate that name, by the way.
yeah, same. It's so bad. Either Byron and Z-Man will kind of push the conversation forward and determine what we will do.
Okay, good to know. Last, anything else you want to add in?
Nope. I'm good.
He's got everything he wants out of you, and okay, if we're gonna go that way, so anything you want to say to the people watching the stream right now, anyone that has supported you through this split so far, and people who are gonna watch you going forwards?
Sorry for game 2. That was rough. I think we noticed game 3 was rough. Like we kind of done what they wanted to do, but we just did it better in game 3 compared to game 2. So sorry for game 2, and we'll reach finals and we'll win it. Trust, believe.
If have some introspection on that game, of course, it might have been a bit rough, but some diamonds are, and hopefully you'll be reaching those ranks at some point in the future. Of course, it would mean that you're ineligible to play in VL. However, with all that said and done, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on the series victory, and we wish you luck in the rest of this split.
Right, thank you.
Cool. And I guess that leaves us to sign off for tonight. So last, in fact, this is the very first time I've cast with you, very first time I've been on a call with you, so it's been a wonderful experience getting to know you. Any last thoughts on this day of coverage?
Likewise. It has been very fun, very tiring, but it was very rewarding in the end to be with an experienced caster such as yourself. And thank you very much for everybody who's listened today. Hope to see you guys on another stream.
Experienced caster, bloody hell, that's some flattery right there. Either way, it is the end of the line for us. No graves involved. Has been a 2-1 victory for Deja Vu Academy over Prime Whatever in the Valence League Split 3. It's been all, well, I mean, and that will be the last from me, Alex Namera Hapgood, and of course joined by last on the other side of the casting desk for me. Thank you very much for listening, and good night.